Warning: federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107.
Hey, it's your girl, the missus. The missus with the kisses, baby.
Let's talk about real life issues, love and relationships. Let's have a good time with the missus. The missus. Let's talk about celebrities. Let's talk about current events. Let's talk about the things you don't see on regular TV. So join us on Peachy Tea Time. Oh, so join us on Peachy Tea Time. Oh, so join us on Peachy Tea Time. Peachy Tea Time, yeah, yeah. Peachy Tea Time.
When they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. You know, every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? That ain't that what we're supposed to do? But I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody going to clean it up.
Chappelle's death in July of 2021 brought protests and national headlines. 3 years later,
I'm confused on what really happened to her. So I have my theories, but
it's like living under the weight of no resolution.
yes.
WDRB reviewed more than 20 hours of depositions from jail staff under oath. And the 800-page Indiana State Police investigation previously withheld. This is Chappelle's story, like it's never been told.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, it's your girl, the missus. The missus with the kisses, baby. Mwah. What's good, baby? What's goody? What's goody in your city, baby? Everything good over here on my block, okay? Stay away. Stay away. Don't even come. Don't even come my way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But don't even come because, like I just told y'all, we good. We good on my block. So I hope y'all good on your block just as well. I'm the missus. Some of y'all, majority of y'all, call me Miss Peachy. So thank y'all for coming. And if you are new tonight, you can call me Miss Peachy too. You sure can. You sure can. Now, before we get started, y'all, there is something that I have to say. Now, because I know it's a lot of people that be watching my show. They watch on Facebook, they watch on YouTube, they watch on Twitch, they watch on Instagram, and baby, I know they watching on Roku TV, baby. Yes, we are live on Roku TV. But y'all know I gotta keep it 100. I gotta keep it real with y'all. That's just what I do. That's just what I do. You know? Y'all remember the movie 8 Mile. 8 Mile with Eminem. I love me some Eminem. And y'all remember the part on there when, they did the little battle and everything. And then Eminem was like, you know what? Let me just talk about myself because therefore you can't talk about me. Okay? So that's one of those moments right now. I'm finna talk about myself right now. So I'm just gonna be transparent and I'm telling y'all the truth. Cause it's bothering me right now. So I gotta tell y'all. So, okay, I do my own lashes. I put my own lashes on, just the strips. Excuse me, Mr. Charles Ford. Just give me 1 second. Thank you. So I do my own lashes. I do my show 3 times out the week for those that don't know. Okay. If this is your first time watching Peachy Tea Time, welcome, 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 welcome. And I do my show Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I do my own makeup. Now, just for the show now. For the show. I do my own makeup. I put my own lashes on, all that. So when I take them off at night, I put them in my bathroom and they sitting on like a container of gel or a container of grease or a container of curlings, whatever it is for my hair. And I just sit them all up there. Well, my birthday just passed in April. I had a party, then turned around and had an event. And so I went and got my makeup done. So when I went and got my makeup done, they gave me some lashes. I finna hold on to those lashes, okay? I'm not finna just throw them out. So I put them all together. When I tell y'all, I don't think these lashes I got on match, okay? So I'm finna tell y'all right now, just in case y'all try to do a screenshot, be like, the lashes matching. I don't know. They probably ain't, but baby, they still look good, okay? And so do I. So thank y'all once again for coming. I just had to do that little baby, we in Michigan tonight. We is in Michigan tonight. We is in ATL tonight. When I tell you I'm so excited for my guest tonight, okay? My guest has done the same thing I did, the same thing he did, I did, which was leave the hell from Michigan and come on to the A. That's what he has done. So I'm excited to have him here. No matter what he talk about in Michigan, baby, I know what it is. I know what it is. And no matter what he talk about in ATL, I know what it is. Now he on up that scale. I'm on my way. I'm right behind him. We neck and neck. We neck and neck. I'm on my way. But he up there. He up there. So I can learn so much from him tonight, and you all can learn so much from him just as well. We have the attorney Charles Ford in the building tonight, y'all. In the building tonight. Yes. And he is coming on. He's gonna do some Q&A's. Questions. He gonna answer some of y'all questions. I don't know why my friend calling me. Tiffany, I can't talk right now, girl. Just get on. Cause I know she got some questions for the Q&A. She got some questions for the Q&A. So I want y'all to stick around for that Q&A. We also will be showing some videos, some news broadcasting clips, just a couple stories that we're going to tackle tonight. Only 2. One of them is one of the highest profile cases that I first did here on Peachy Tea Time. And when I tell you, I am so excited to have Mr. Charles Ford here to cover this story with me. I covered it for a while. And when I covered it, there's a lot of things I didn't know, a lot of things I did know. I had the family on. This was their very first time coming onto a platform. And once they left my platform, and I'm not saying this because of me, because baby, I was just getting started. But they actually went on to higher and higher and higher platforms with so many viewers and followers and subscribers, all of that. So to have Mr. Charles here with me, now I done already called her mama. I done called her mama, was like, look, we doing the show tonight on your baby. Yes, we are. So I'm excited about all of that. And of course, to hear so much about Mr. Charles Ford. Yeah. Let me show y'all. Just in case y'all don't, just in case y'all think I'm playing with y'all, because I ain't got time to play with y'all tonight. Look at this. Living beyond my dreams. the attorney Charles Ford story. What that tell y'all? Now, I know we tired of school and all that, but I'm gonna take y'all back to school for a minute. Just by reading that title, Living Beyond My Dreams, what does that tell y'all? He dreamt of some stuff, because I'm trying not to cuss, but if I have to, I have to. But he dreamt of some stuff, and baby, his his vision, his dreams, everything was way, way, way bigger. Bigger than he could even imagine. That's what that means. Bigger than what he could even imagine. Because that's what God do. He show up and he show out. Okay? All you gotta do is follow the path. That's all you gotta do. Follow the path, do what he tell you to do, and baby, you can be right where Attorney Charles Ford is. So he finna to walk us through it and tell us everything. Okay. So again, thank y'all for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. This is our beginning of our new Peachy loved one. Our Peachy loved one, our 2 week spotlight. So that will be coming up at commercial break. We do have the tribute video that I created just as well for the family when they came on. But when we get close to it, I'll let y'all know all about the Peachy loved one spotlight. All right. So we gotta go ahead. I can't keep him down there no longer, baby. I am about to bring up the one, the only, all the way from Michigan, baby, where I've come from, to all the way to the A where I am at right now, baby. I gotta bring him up. I just got to. Here he is, y'all. Let's give him that doorbell. Y'all know how we do. Here he is. Who is it? Ah, it's Mr. Ford.
It's just great to walk in the door. It's great to walk in the door.
How are you, Mr. Ford? How are you? I told him, y'all, I'm gonna be calling him Mr. Charles. I'm gonna call him Mr. Ford. I'm calling him Attorney Charles Ford, but he told me just call him Charles. That's what he said. I'm gonna be honest. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Again, I am so honored.
Well, you opened up and said that we were kind of neck and neck here. I think you're way beyond where I'm at.
Whatever, you better go somewhere.
Way beyond. For me to be on an award-winning, show like yours, I mean, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. You're all the way. You're already there. You're already there.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much for having me on today to talk about my book, Living Beyond My Dreams, the Attorney Charles Ford story. And it's a story. Even when I read my book, I kind of think about how'd you do that? How that happened for you. A lot of people, I use the term Attorney Charles Ford because that's my brand right now. My good friend and musician and songwriter, Carmichael, music lover, I got a chance to be in this video, and he says, "You are Attorney Charles Ford. That's your brand. That's what you should use." And we've been using it since 2018, and it's going over real well. And I'm just glad to be out here with my book to talk about not so much what I accomplished, but the things that I didn't think I was going to accomplish that
Mhm.
were not even on the radar when I was 16, 17 years old. A lot of people don't understand that I didn't go to law school till I was 30 years old.
Wow.
30 years old. And June 9th, next month, will be 36 years as an attorney.
36. Hold on. Let me get that applause together. Let me get that applause together. That is amazing. 36 years.
36 years as an attorney, but it hasn't been easy. It
Oh,
wasn't
you
easy.
know, that was the next question. Have you been happy them 36 years?
I've been more than happy.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
More than happy. I've had some opportunities to have some great jobs, especially here in Georgia. I had an opportunity to work for the Atlanta division of the Public Defender's Office in Atlanta, Georgia. Had over 200 clients. Worked there for almost three years. Now, I never thought that I would be working in an environment like that where I'd be representing that many people and those folks, depending on me for their livelihood. For them, they're incarcerated, a lot of them, and hoping to try to get them out. And I was really proud of myself. I think it was Thanksgiving of 2022. I'm a trial attorney for the public defender's office, and but I worked in the jail division. Jail means that people who are incarcerated who don't have the bond money to get out, and I was given 25 cases to handle the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and I was able to get 22 people out of jail in time for Thanksgiving. And
Wow.
so that
That's
was important.
amazing.
That
Yes.
was important to
That
me
is
in
amazing.
the Atlanta area.
Now, out of them
That's
22, out of them 22, how many of them was in our from our community, our kind? Our
I'll
kind.
tell you.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember because I keep track of those types of things. 20,
20.
20,
20?
20, 20,
20 of
20,
us?
20 of us.
Now, was any of them on bond for murder?
Yes, all of them are on bond. I was working in state court, so so just about every case that I had, people were on bond. But if you're on $1,000 bond and you come from a neighborhood or a family that's living from day to day, check to check, you got to go to a bail bondsman and you got to give up $100 that you're never going to see again. And
True.
don't be on a $5,000 bond. Then at that point, you got to come up with $500 that you're not going to see again. And so that's to ensure that you come back to court each and every time that you're scheduled to come back. So there are people who didn't have, their family did not have $100 to get them out of jail.
So
So
what
they
did
had,
you do? You paid it for 'em?
no, I can't. As an attorney and then working for the public defender's office, you cannot pay it for them. I had to convince the judge that time served was good enough. Convinced the prosecutor's office that maybe they can lower it. Try to get no bond for those individuals, and we were able to convince the judge and the prosecutors to reduce things or time served, so those individuals could get out of jail in time for Thanksgiving to be with their
Now,
family.
was any of these judges your friends? Your
No,
homies?
no, none of them. None of them. I don't know. I met the judges I worked before in Atlanta were the first time I met them was when I was before them,
Okay.
and so I didn't really know. I developed a relationship with them over the years because I was doing the jail division every Tuesday and every Thursday for about 8 months. And so at that
Okay.
point, I was working at trying to get anywhere from 15 to 30 people that I had represented in the jail division to try to get them out of jail.
Okay. Now, do you have
And
your own office or you work
yes,
under somebody?
no, when I worked for the public defender's office, I worked there on Peachtree, 100, I think it was 100 Peachtree, right downtown,
A
right by the
public defender, you said. Public
yeah.
defender.
Yeah, and that's what I did. And these are people who could not afford attorneys,
Mm-hmm.
and in my private practice, I think I was doing that kind of work anyway because I did take on a lot of jobs. I mean, a lot of cases that people just couldn't pay high price attorneys to do, and so I almost said that my practice was like kind of social services. I didn't really charge people like others did. But when people were able to rub those nickels together and pay me $100, $300, whatever, I gave them the best service I could give
Okay. So let's go back to that public defender.
them.
I have never, and one thing about me, I ain't gonna lie about nothing. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
always tell the truth because I have been watching YouTube videos, all type of stuff before I started doing Peachy time. And if they want to find out stuff about you, baby, they will find it. I know. So I try to be honest about everything. Now, I've never been to jail. I've never been to jail. I've never been arrested. I've only been there to visit somebody. That's it. And most of the time, it was to go visit my brother because he always in and out. I'm just keeping it 100. And a lot of my viewers already know that about my brother. Now, Public defender. Cause it's just me and my brother. We don't have no other siblings.
Okay.
We came from a family of four. Me, my brother, my mama, and my daddy. That's it. And then I done had these kids, two kids. So now they have joined our family. And my husband has joined our family. So we have went through so much with my brother. Okay. So when you say public defender, a lot of people out there don't like public defenders. They feel like public defenders do not do all that they supposed to do because they're not getting paid that high dollar money. Okay, so what do you say about that,
Well, I'm here
Mister?
to I'm here to destroy that myth about
Mm,
white defenders. I mean, I've worked with
I like that.
some of the best attorneys I've ever worked with was in the Fulton County Public Defender's Office. See, we get paid by the hour. So if you pay a private attorney, you're going to pay him $5,000 to do your case. That in a lot of times, I felt that I could get a better deal.
Okay.
I had a client, my first trial in Fulton County. My client told me that I should have hired a private attorney, to do my case. And I said, well, I tell you what, if you hired a private attorney, in most cases, you probably would have taken that first deal that, that they offered you.
Hmm.
But here, deal or no deal, I'm here to service you, and I get paid the same. I get paid the same if I get a deal for you, or I try the case. And there were people who was trying to convince him to not take the deal, okay, to take the deal. But he said, no, I'm not going to take the deal. I had people higher up than me in my office said that he should take the deal because the evidence against him. But he said, no, I'm not going to take the deal. So I convinced him that I think we can do a pretty good job. He had three counts that we tried, and after the end of a day and a half, the jury came back and was not guilty on all three counts.
You doing it like that? Like,
And so I don't, I'm a public defender. I'm a public defender, but I go after all my cases. I try to do the best. We had a lot of DUIs. I filed motion after motion on DUIs to help people understand that maybe if you drink, you don't drive, and if you
okay.
drive, you don't drink. That's the bottom line.
Hmm.
But there are sometimes when how a person is stopped, how those types of things happen was not correct, and so we will file motions on that. But I tell you what, I learned a lot working in the public defender's office, and my supervisor, and the reason I'm going to mention his name, uh, Derek Howard. We're fraternity brothers. He's worked there for
Hi,
about
Mr.
20 years.
Howard.
Yeah, he's well. He's not. No, I guess I should preference that. He's one of the best attorneys, best supervisor I ever had. He's a Phi Beta Sigma like me, 54 years old. A little older than me, and just a great supervisor. He passed away. Um,
Oh, sorry.
it's okay in Thanksgiving, and I didn't go back to the public defender's office after that. I was off for a little bit, and I just did not go back. And now I'm working for the Cobb County Solicitor General's office. So now I'm a prosecutor. So now I'm on the other side. I'm on the other
Okay.
side.
Okay.
But I say that because um, I want to destroy the myth about prosecutors. Prosecutors, everybody think, well, they're just trying to put people down and try to, put them in jail and make them do hard time. I work with prosecutors who are trying to make sure that if you got stopped for not having a license, they'll give you time to get your license back
Okay.
and maybe dismiss your case. You know, and so at that point, I represent the people, and the people is everybody who comes before me with a problem, with a concern, with an offense, with a crime, and we're trying to see if that crime is proper. Is the charge proper? Can we lower it? Can we have them do community service? Can we make it so they can get their license back? Those types of things. So don't I don't want people to think that prosecutors don't try to help, because if the myth is that they try to put people down, I tell you there would be a whole lot more cases than we could handle. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
so at this point, I'm enjoying my job. I've been there for a little bit over 2 weeks, and I'm really enjoying being a solicitor in the Solicitor General's office, being a prosecutor, because I feel I can help there too.
Okay. Okay. Now,
But
yeah,
I
over
do
here
want,
at Peachy Tea Time. Over
I
here at
just
Peachy Tea Time, it'd be a lot of criminals that we cover over here on Peachy Tea Time. And they be
that's why I'm
having
here today.
attorneys too. You
So,
hear me?
well, but I didn't. Would you say it again?
I said we cover a lot of criminals, bad people that's supposed to be in jail. But they get attorneys, and attorneys got to cover them. They get paid. They be like, look, they didn't do it, or they did do it, or however y'all do it. How can you defend somebody when you know that
Well, see, that's the beauty of living in America, in the
they?
United States. You're
Okay.
innocent until you're innocent until proven guilty. And the Sixth Amendment says that everybody has a right to an attorney. So it doesn't matter what crime you committed, you're going to get an attorney. You know, and so at that point, you do the best job you can to make sure that if they do get sentenced, that sentence mirrors or the crime. You know, you don't want someone to go to jail for 2 years for stealing a loaf of bread. Doesn't sound right, does it?
No, not at
You
all.
know, so, so at that point, what you try to do is you try to make sure you make the arguments to how your client is a productive member of society. They have a job, they have a family, they got different things. They made a mistake, they made a bad decision, and so at that point, we're trying to get them something that's a better deal than going to jail for whatever the max is that they're going to do. Now, I work in state court both as a public defender and as the Solicitor General. So my people that I either represent or the people that who I'm going to prosecute, they're not going to go to jail for more than a year, more than
Mm,
a year.
okay.
And so they're misdemeanors, and that's a good place to work because you can turn people around. Because if a person's habitual, that means that they committed a crime that was small, then they got a little bit bigger, then they got a little bit bigger, then now they're habitual, now they can't get a job, they can't get a place to live, and so they're stuck in that type of society. So what we're trying to do at this early stage when these people are committing these smaller crimes is to not make it so it probably doesn't show on their record, make it so they can do some community service, do something to not have it hurt them down the road where they can't get jobs or a good job, can't get an apartment. So, we're trying to help people who are making those early bad decisions and trying to get them to understand that society needs them. If you read my book, that's one of the things I talk about is two people who were very influential in developing me as a young person. That was President John F. Kennedy and the late great Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King. Now, John F. Kennedy said, "Ask not what your country can do for you; that's what you can do for your country." And as a 9-year old, 6 year old, I said, "What can I do for this country? What can I do? How can I help make this the best country it can be?" But then Martin Luther King came along in the 60s, mid 60s, and said, no matter what job you have, you know, be the best that you can be. If
Yeah.
you are a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper that you can be. And I put those two together, and I talk about, like I said in my book, that I get it now.
Okay.
For this country, for the state you live in, for the community you live in, to be the very best that it can be, it takes each and every one of us, no matter what we do, no matter whatever job you do, you got to do the best you can do,
Exactly.
and that will make our country stronger.
Okay. You right.
So as a young man, that that hit home to me, and that's why I think I've done the things I've done just always trying to be the best I can be, help people to understand that we need you. So when we have drugs, we have alcoholism, we have domestic violence, we have all those things, we're not being the best
Exactly.
that we
Exactly.
can be. So we got to get rid of those things. We got to think, we start thinking forward so we can make our community as strong as we can make it.
All right. Now, your book, Living Beyond My Dreams. I want to talk about that because I want to come back to my question. I want to come back to the question that I asked. Um, because I don't think you answered it the way I wanted you to answer.
Okay,
So
give me
we're
that.
gonna come back
Give
to
me that question again, because I'm gonna definitely want to
it.
answer
Okay.
the way.
Yeah, because I want to know if you have, and I don't want you to answer it right now. I want you to marinate on it, and we're gonna go into some more stuff. But over here, we are against bad people that's doing bad things. There's so many people that's doing bad things that do not need to be out here on the streets, and they get a bond and they let them out. Even people that committed murder, they get a bond, they let them out, and guess what? They go finish the job. So we over here screaming, no. Why did y'all let them out? They shouldn't have let them out. Why be nice to these people? Why?
Well,
They weren't
I
nice to
want I
us.
want to answer that now. I want to
Go
answer that
ahead,
one.
do your thing. It's your world. Go
Answer that
ahead.
one now. You know, um, there are going. That's why we have laws, because there are people who are going to break those laws. That's why we have enforcement of those
Okay.
of those laws. But I want to get back to the Sixth Amendment, that a person has a right to an attorney, and a person has the right to be judged by their peers. Okay, so that means that when you arrest somebody, you have to do the right thing up front. You can't, if you're going to arrest a person for a DUI, maybe a second, stop them properly. Do not stop them just because you see someone that you think might uh, be intoxicated. You have to stop them for some type of traffic reason. And that's a lot of times we have people who get DUIs, they get out because their stop was not proper. So that's a technicality. We call it the fruit of the poisonous tree. So if the stop is bad, anything that happens after that goes out the window. Now you talk about murder. You talk about murder. Then you have to collect the evidence. I mean, the first murder trial I did in 2007, my client killed a 26-year-old mother of two, and
Mm,
everybody, two, and
it was the baby daddy.
who was that?
It was the
He
baby
no, he
daddy.
was he was not the baby's daddy. No,
Okay,
he's
okay,
he,
okay, okay,
he was that he was she was a friend of his. They were friends, and
okay.
what I talk about that case is because the police did not collect the evidence properly. The body was moved before there was a picture taken. So there were some things that were not right. The witnesses that they questioned, they didn't do a thorough job of getting the right story. And so we were able to, my CSI person was able to really break through and show that their witnesses were not credible. And we didn't say they weren't right, but credibility means a lot when you're working a trial. So at this point, you have to do everything right for people to make sure that the people who have actually committed the crime actually do the time for that. And so,
You was
um,
defending him
yeah,
or her,
I was his defense attorney. Yes,
and you
in my
got. Did
job,
he get off?
he got off. Yes, he was after 6 days of trial. The jury came back not guilty, not guilty. I If I had more time, I would go into the particulars
Yes,
as to
I understand.
why that happened. But I think it's the way we go about collecting the information, the evidence, that has to be done properly. Because if you get an attorney, and someone like myself who's been around for 20 years, I've seen the things that work and the things that don't work. And if you don't do it properly, I can probably find some case law or some reason why that should not have happened, and then that person is going to get off. Now, I'm not going to be there. They're not my friend. I'm not going to go out to dinner with them. Those types of things. but they have a right to have a fair trial.
To
They have a
me, to me, it sounds like, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But to me, what I'm getting out of this conversation, we're gonna go into the book and the documentary after this. But what I'm getting out of this is we, as far as people that's me, not my color, but just me that's not an attorney, me that's not a judge, me that's not the jury, whatever. I'm going off of what I see.
right.
Attorney Charles Ford, y'all, is going off of what he knows, educational wise. He's been doing this for 36 years.
Yeah.
So he knows what he can and can't do and what is supposed to happen, what's not supposed to happen. But and I please don't answer this one right now. I want to say this to the end. But has there ever been a case where you know they was wrong, but you still defended them, knowing that they was wrong?
I have to answer that. Well,
He said I got to.
I have to. Like I
Okay.
said, I took an oath as an attorney, you know, and we're the only profession that's mentioned in the Constitution that a person has a right to an attorney. So if they did it or didn't do it, that's not my deal. That's not my issue. My issue is that they get a fair trial. And if me and my efforts trying to get them a fair trial, we come up with evidence or information that might make it so they don't get convicted beyond a reasonable doubt, that's my job. That's
Okay.
my job. So my job not to assess if they did it, if they didn't do it. My job is to do my job, and that is to uphold the Constitution. And a lot of people don't get it that the Fifth Amendment says that you don't have to self-incriminate yourself. So if a person
Mhm.
might have done it, he or she doesn't have to say they did it. They don't. That's up to the prosecution to say that we can prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's a high standard too. That's a high standard to prove someone guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But that's the
You know
standard we
what?
have.
None of us there when it happened. No matter
And,
how
that,
we look at it, we wasn't there. So we don't know
and
for a fact.
we don't, and that's the key. If you didn't see the person do it, but you got to have the circumstantial proof, which sometimes can get you convicted a lot quicker than eyewitness account. But you got to stack it up. You got to build that. You got to build that house to beyond a reasonable doubt. And the thing that happens in this society is that people are plaintiff oriented. And what I mean by that, when somebody says someone did something, a lot of people say, believe it, they did it. So that's why us defense attorneys have to make sure that we can show that, and you need to have scientific proof, fingerprints, powder on the hands. You got to have a lot of stuff. To,
Exactly.
so um, you know that's why the plea deal works for a lot of times, because if a person knows that they did it and they feel that they should do time for it, then they're going to plead to it, because that's why we'll offer them a little bit better deal, because if you go to trial and lose, then the max is probably going to come before you, because we probably have offered you something a little less than that.
Mm. Okay,
So
okay. Well, we gotta get into this book. Living Beyond My Dreams, baby. The attorney Charles Ford story. Now, we see a football player back there, we see a basketball player back there, and we see an attorney right here in front of our face. So please let us know about this book, Living Beyond My Dreams.
Well, my life is kind of voluminous. I got a lot of things I could talk about, a lot of stories I could tell.
Mhm.
But what I wanted to talk about and have something that was motivational, inspirational, and those types of things. Um, the times in my life that I possibly could not have been an attorney. Now, I didn't start off wanting to be an attorney. I left high school to be a math teacher coach. I was good in math. I was a good athlete. I figured that would be a good path for me. And so I was never hurt. I was MVP of the football team, outstanding player of the basketball team, went to the state track meet in all four of my events. I was a super athlete. I thought
So
I was.
so you ain't come out on disability, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I felt I was just invincible. I practiced every day. I studied sports every day. I was a great student. So, I didn't let that, you know, get by me. So by the time I got to my sophomore year in college, I just thought I was unstoppable as a basketball player.
Okay.
I averaged over 30 points a game. Broke the school record my freshman year, scored 42 points, and this is without a 3 point line. So all you guys who like the 3 point line, we didn't have it back in the 70s. We didn't have the 3 point. So it was a 2 pointer or hope somebody fouled you when you were scoring. And so then my sophomore year, my first four games was 32, 32, 39, 42. So I'm averaging 36 points a game in college.
Wow. You was doing
College
your thing.
at 5'9". At 5'9". See,
Okay.
I'm not a 6 footer, so
Yeah.
I had to work really hard to do those kinds of things. 12th game of the season, um, they had just announced I was the nation's leading scorer. I had the highest point average, and my coach said, Charles, any shot that you see that you like, take it. So I had the green light. So I had 6 out of our 8 points. And next thing you know, a guy misses a shot. My guy throws it to me, and I run after it, and only have time to stop and shoot. And on my own power, I snapped my tibia and fibula in two.
Mm.
And for a person that's never been hurt, was always available to play, that was devastating. Now, I don't walk for a whole year. I have to rehab for a whole year. So it's 2 years that I'm out of. I dropped out of college. I don't even have an associate's degree. And then, for those who don't know, I have an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a law degree.
Oh,
So
he's smart. He's smart.
so at that time, I did not. Um, I couldn't take it. I mean, I was a sad person. Didn't want to do anything. My mother, being a teacher, educated as a teacher, she's a graduate of Alabama A&M, and so she had my coach take me to school,
Okay.
and I was in the cafeteria. Everybody's eating and saying, "Hey, Charles, sorry to hear about what happened. You're a great player. This and this and that." But when 1 o'clock hit, everybody went to class, and what that showed me, and I was about the only one in the cafeteria with my leg in the cast, that the world still was revolving. People
Yes.
were still doing their thing. And here
Yep.
I was standing still because I'd broken my leg. And I was a pretty good student. And so I hobbled over to one of my classes called Rocks and Stars, which is a science class. And because I was studying to be a teacher. And I started going to school with a cast up to my hip. I didn't finish the class because it was a lab, so I could come. I took it incomplete, and then I came back and finished the next semester. So at that point, I wanted to get my education,
Okay.
and so that's what I talk about in my book is overcoming the fact that I thought sports was everything to me. I had the NBA was looking at me, major colleges were looking at me, and so all of that was gone. But I still,
Now,
but I still had a life, and I still had a mind.
awesome. Now, I gotta ask this question. Coming from Michigan, all my Michiganders that's out there watching, we all want to know: was your family wealthy? Did y'all have money? Y'all was paid, or you struggled? You came from the
Okay, we were not even close to wealthy. Okay. Now, in my book, I talk about spending a lot of time. I was born in Huntsville, Alabama,
mud.
uh,
Okay.
by a midwife in my grandparents' home.
Wow.
And but my mother was pregnant with me in Michigan. But in 1954, when I was born, I let everybody else do the math about how old I am. But 1954, when I was born, it was just cheaper and better to go back to Huntsville, and I was born by midwife. My parents couldn't afford what it took to have me born in Lansing, Michigan,
Mhm.
and so at that point, so at that point, I stayed there for 6 months, but every summer we went back to Huntsville. I picked cotton for two
You did what?
years.
You pick cotton?
I picked cotton for 2 years.
You pick cotton?
Picked cotton. I was 4 years old when my first year that I went on the
No,
cotton
no,
field.
no, 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 no. You're not gonna just run past that, Mr. Child Ford. I mean, you might be in the first part. No, I don't think you're the first person. I don't think you're first. You might not want the first person, but we don't get so many people that are pick cotton. You know,
I
when
picked
somebody
cotton.
say pick cotton, that's like,
Oh, yeah, it's
you know,
well,
you know.
but it wasn't my grandparents owned the property, but
Okay.
that's what they knew how to do. They knew how to raise, pick cotton, grow cotton. Everything we ate, we raised chickens. I slopped the hogs. That means I fed them till they couldn't walk, till they couldn't walk. And this was like 3 months out of my life in the summer. That's what I spent down in Huntsville. And so, 4 years old, I'm picking cotton, and I fell asleep in the cotton field. And my mother had to put me on in her bag and drag me through the cotton field. But the next year, I was able to finish my whole row. You couldn't even see the end of it, but you had to finish it. But yeah, yeah, I picked cotton. My father was a laborer for GM. He finished sixth grade, but he's one of the smartest men I ever met. And my mother was a teacher, graduated in 1951 from Alabama A&M. But when she got to Michigan, she couldn't get a job as a teacher. She could
Mm,
substitute, but my mother cleaned houses. She cleaned homes and babysat kids for kind of wealthy families and doctors. That's the job they had. So we lived from paycheck to paycheck. One of the things I used to see on the table in the morning was my dad taking his check and seeing how much he made, and then said he got to pay this, got to pay that, got to pay that, and not really having enough money to pay everything. And so we struggled. I'll tell you, I was happy when my brother, who's 11 months older than me, got a brand new pair of pants. You know why?
oh,
Because I knew in a year they'd be mine.
that'll be yours.
Yep. So
Wow.
so we didn't have a whole lot.
Mm,
We didn't have a whole lot, and so the house that I show in my documentary, I didn't like that house. Ants, roach, everything, and so. But it was a house that was across the street from Magic Johnson's house. You know,
yes, I saw that in the documentary when you
Yeah,
said that.
but we didn't have any. We lived, on the west side of Lansing with the Main Street School, predominantly black elementary school. So we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot. But as a kid, you don't know that.
Exactly.
Your parents do the
Exactly.
best they can to feed you every day, clothe you, and do the things that are necessary. And a vacation with for me was going back to Huntsville, Alabama, and stay there for 3 months. That's the only vacation I knew. We didn't go to Disney World. We didn't go to different places, amusement parks, or anything of that nature. Our only vacation was to go back to Huntsville. And I realize now why my parents did that is because you have two or three kids. What are you gonna do with them in the summer? It
Exactly.
costs money because they got to go to work.
Yep.
We got to have childcare and those types of things. So that's what we spent in the summer. So my book was about coming, kind of overcoming those odds of
Okay.
that could have happened. I could have, my parents could have stayed in the South. Could have been a lot different because my education, I felt at Main Street School, Pattongill Junior High School, Sexton, really prepared me to go on to college, and so that was important to me. So I talk about that in the book. I talk about football, which is probably the sport that I'm the best in, but I was just too small to play it. But I broke my jaw playing football at age 13.
Oh wow.
And my parents did not want me to go back and play football, but I ended up going back that same season and playing. And the first time that I ran the ball as a running back, they called my number. The coach says, "Well, Charles, you just broke your jaw. We're not going to call your number to run." He called it, and I was so scared that I ran for a touchdown. I wouldn't let nobody get close to me. But I ended up being the MVP of my football team my senior year in high school. So it talks about not quitting, not giving up. Basketball, same way. Broken leg, went back and played 2 years of basketball.
Mhm.
Uh, in college, so I played all 4 years. It's just about inspiration, just trying to be inspirational. And right when I,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But go ahead.
but right when I thought I had everything under control, graduated from college, got a bachelor's degree, got a good job, I developed an illness, and I talk about this in the book in great length. That I was that my illness was life threatening. Didn't know what it
Wow.
was. I lived in pain for 5 years, but I wouldn't let them do the things like give me radiation where I lose all my hair, give me a skin graft on my head because that's where the pain was coming, lumps were coming, bumps were coming, and so I wouldn't let them um, do skin grafts. So I just really lived with the pain, and I didn't want to take Tylenol with codeine number 3 to go to bed, go to sleep. I just lived with
Mhm.
it, and the thing that cured me is when I went to Mayo Clinic. And when you go to a clinic, you're in a hospital, and it's not a hospital. It's you stay in a hotel, and they had sessions for us at night. And I went down there to the session, and I saw that there were people who were worse off than I was. There were people who said that they would trade me head up for what I had, and I was in pain for what they had. And I think that started my healing process. And
Mhm.
my doctor saw me come into the office one day in total pain, didn't go to work, whatever. And he said some words to me that really kept me going. And that was, if you don't give up, I won't give up. And he
Mhm.
they finally cured me. Um, it was from like 5 years, but I never forget February 13th of, I think it was 1982 or so. Um, I woke up, went to downstairs, dropped my keys, and then when I bent down, the pain was really bad. But bent down, and there was no pain. And I drove straight to the doctor's office, and he said, "I think you're healing."
Wow.
So I had to
And did
overcome.
they say what it was?
Uh, yeah, it's a big, long medical
Okay.
perifolliculitis capitis abscess. People can look it up. They can look it up, but it's akin to having acne about 300 times.
Oh my
And mine was just growing every night and breaking open and blood all over the pillows. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I wouldn't wish
yeah.
it on anybody, but I overcame it. I overcame it.
Amen.
And then the medicine I was taking had side effect. Now you might get keloids. I got a keloid that lodged in the back of my neck. And a lot of people might notice I have a scar back there. And I had to go to Cleveland Clinic, and they had to cut off the back of my head, and
Mm.
I wore a bandage for like 4 months. 4 months. But I made people feel comfortable because I just act like there was no band. I was wearing no bandage, and I just had a
Yeah.
hat on over it. But that was hard, and I actually had that surgery when I was actually in law school,
Okay. Okay.
so I had to overcome that as well. So that's the kind of things that are in my book. It's 4.8 stars on Amazon. People have given it reviews that it's been motivational, inspirational, and that's what I want it to be. As an author, you may sell a whole bunch of books, but the key is if someone reads it and it's meaningful to them and they get
Yes.
something out of it, that's what's important.
That's
That's
what's important.
that's what's important. That's why I try to get the book as many people as possible. Because everybody has down days.
Mhm.
Everybody, and I just want them to know that too shall pass. If you want it to, if you work hard enough, if you don't give up, it'll pass.
Exactly. Exactly. Now you've actually done a documentary
Yes,
as
yes,
well. So
yes.
we're gonna go ahead and just show a little bit of that
Oh, okay.
documentary. And
Right.
then when we come back, you can tell us a little bit more about this documentary.
All
Y'all,
right.
I know y'all gonna like it, okay? Now some of the stuff I had to take out because of the music, but don't worry, y'all. We got everything in there. Here we go.
Well, this is Attorney Charles Ford, and I'm here.
drove all the way down from Atlanta, Georgia, to film my documentary about some of the things I've done in Lansing and some of the places that are special to me. We're here on Middle Street, and on Middle Street at 817 Middle Street, that's one of the houses I lived in when I was growing up. And I'll tell you, this was a great, thriving neighborhood with a number of young people on it. And I'll tell you, this house here, 814, this is exactly where Magic Johnson was born. We lived across the street from each other, and I actually saw when they brought Magic Johnson home when he was born.
That you've always had the interest of our community, of our children at heart. And thank you so much for all you've done. We also have a certificate of recognition honoring you as former city council member, but you're so much more than that. You're one of the favorite sons of Lansing, so I want to make sure you have this. And we thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you so much.
Graduate, JW Sexton. That's not only that, but the boy won a state championship. This is all before Magic.
Right.
This man right here, Mr. Gerald Ford.
I want to make a difference with this documentary. I want people who are not doing as well, maybe who think they can't do as well. They can see someone like me, because I came from across the street from Main Street School. We were just out there talking to some of my friends about that, and I really appreciate you taking time to come out and talk to us about it.
Well, I appreciate you very much. You're a great leader in our community, and we certainly could be happy to have you back, but I know you're doing well in Atlanta. Congratulations for your success.
He called me one day and said, "Hey, you don't have any place to play basketball in college?" I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a place." And he said, "Well, you got a full ride to come to Lansing College." But the ironic thing is, my freshman year, I broke the school record.
Charles Ford, you don't know what you did for this neighborhood.
You done a bunch.
And put in stuff in us and like, hey man, come on, let's go play basketball.
Yeah.
You don't know what you did for this little young people like me, you and that shorty.
Yeah, you grew
I'm
us
like
up.
watching you like, ooh man, this.
But you always gotta remember this.
You done gave all you can give. People stop appreciating you. And they use your skills and your gift for selfish reasons. Not knowing that you see it. And when you start misusing the people that God has placed in your life to be a blessing to you, that's what God does. He causes a disturbance to happen that will cause you to leave town.
I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody, and I thank the community for embracing this project.
All right. That was amazing. That was so amazing. At the end of the day, no matter how we look at it, Mr. Charles, like I have on the screen right now, from Audra Marshall. Hey, Audra, you are an inspiration. No matter how we look at it. Even if you let folks out that we don't think supposed to be out, but we trust in you. We trusting that you going, you know the word, you know the education, you know everything. So we trust in that. But to our kind, to us, our color, black, brown, my kids call us brown. I was in the era where we called us black. But in our era, you are doing your thing and you're an inspiration to us all. There's a lot of us that don't even think that we can become attorneys. You know, you left. You left Lansing. Those people there was from Lansing, look like, and they adored you. But you left Lansing and you came to the ATL. That's what you did. So we are going to talk about that. Okay, we're going to talk about that, but we got to get into our commercial break, y'all. It's a must. We got to get into our commercial break. But when we come back, we are going to talk about why he left Lansing, Michigan, as much as he can tell us. As much as he can tell us why he left, why he's so more successful, it looks like, here in ATL than he was in Lansing. And not only that, we're going to talk about some of the challenges. Some of the challenges that you face as a black man out here in this world.
Yes.
Trying to do stuff that we sometimes look at a job for white people. And I'm just going to call it what it is. So, y'all, we're going to go into our commercial break. But first, let me go ahead and shine the spotlight, baby. We got to shine the spotlight. Peachy loved ones. All right, y'all. Now, I am so sure y'all remember when I covered the senior airman Roger Fortson story. I had his mom on here. His mom had lost senior airman Roger Fortson and also her other son months later, Andre Fortson. And if you don't remember, I remember I named this story when she came on. Her name Mika. When she came on, I remember I named the title. Um, One of my sons was taken out by the law, and the other one was taken out by the streets. So if y'all want to see the story when Mika came on the show, which is the mother of senior airman Roger Forson and Andre Forson, please make sure you go on YouTube or you go on Roku TV and just type in airman Roger Forson on Peachy Tea Time. Do you remember this story? That story, Mr. Charles?
No, I don't. I don't think I was privy to that story, and I would like to know a little bit more about it.
Yes, senior airman Roger Forson was killed by the police in Florida, but he's from here in Georgia. They had his funeral here at New Birth, if I'm not mistaken. They had a New Birth, but it happened in Florida. They went to his home, his apartment. Someone out in the apartments, nice apartments. You know, he's senior airman, so he ain't in the hood, ain't in projects. Nice apartments. Somebody called and was like, "Oh my gosh, he's arguing and fussing with his girlfriend inside the apartment. Get out very quickly." And he was literally on the phone. He was on the phone talking to his girlfriend. Police is came. They knocked on the door. They did say that they are the officers. Opened the door and he did comply. But when he opened the door, he had his gun in his hand. He didn't have it pointed or anything. I showed the videos, I showed the clips, I showed everything. And he just had it down to his side. And as soon as he opened that door, baby, they started busting and killed him. And it was sad. And then less than a year, literally months later, she lost her other son, Andre Forson, to the streets. So we are about to get into our commercial break, y'all. This is the tribute video. You all know, and if you don't know, because we do have new people that are watching tonight, I always make a tribute video for each and every family that comes on each and every Wednesday here at Peachy Time, where they get the opportunity to share their loved ones, to tell their loved one's story, and spread awareness. I've been doing Peachy Time for 4 years now. Families have been coming on for 4 years. So each family has literally had a tribute video, and I am about to share this tribute video with you all right now. This video, I can truly say I was truly proud of myself for making this, because you have to understand, um, Roger was a senior airman, and then you got Andre he was in the street. You know what I'm saying? Not in the streets to where doing wrong and all that. It's just that the streets took him out. So here we go.
We have walked with Senior Airman Fortune as far as we can on this side, but we will meet again, and until then, I'm confident He is in heaven uplifting souls, bringing joy and shine to the skies.
All I hear is raindrops falling from the rooftop. Oh, baby, tell me why'd you have to go? 'Cause this pain I feel it won't go away. And today I'm officially missing you. I thought that from this heartache I could escape. Might have run it long enough to know there ain't no way. And today I'm officially missing you. Ooh, can nobody do me like you? I said every little thing you do. Hey, baby, say it stays on my mind. And I officially, it's official. Ooh, you know that I'm missing you, yeah, yeah, yeah. All I hear is raindrops. Ooh, yeah, and I'm officially missing you.
All right, y'all. This is Senior Airman Roger Fortson and his brother Andre Forson, which is Peachy Loved Ones. 2 week spotlight, baby. They get 2 full weeks of you all hearing about them on Peachy Tea Time, which is to basically keep their loved one's name alive. We're going to keep their name alive. We're going to show the tribute video. And if you guys want to go see the full story with their mom and family on Peachy Tea Time, just go to YouTube, type in Senior Airman Roger Forson on Peachy Tea Time. Go and take a screenshot. Don't try to memorize it. Take a screenshot. And you got it. You got it. All right. So thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. I'm so proud of the 2 week spotlight. I've been doing that now. I just started this year. And it is something that is just a movement. It is truly, truly a movement. All right. So we are about to bring Charles. He told me to call him Charles. I just need to call him Mr. Charles. Just seem right, Mr. Charles. And look, Mr. Charles.
Wow.
Yeah. So how? What do you think about that?
Well, I tell you, I'm glad you shared that with me. To lose one child is one thing, but to lose
Yes.
both your sons, I have two sons. I have two sons,
Okay. Yes, you did tell me that.
and it's been a struggle for them, but I haven't lost them. They're still
Okay.
around. I can call them up on the phone. They can call
Mm-hmm.
me up on the phone, and that means a lot. That means a lot. No matter what happens, we're always going to be parents, no matter how old they are. We're going to care about them, love them, and I just can't even imagine losing two sons in such a short period of time. And I don't know. I'm glad. That's why I'm so thankful to being on your show because
Oh,
and I watched it last Monday to prepare for this, and I was got more and more excited about being here because, like you said, you're keeping it real. You're bringing things to the people that they need to hear, and so we can all reflect, and that's so important. That's so important. So I thank you, Miss Peachy, for doing what you're doing.
thank you. Are so welcome. But we gotta get into that documentary. Don't think we forgot. The documentary. Lansing. Why you leave Lansing? If you could tell us, why did you leave Lansing to come to ATL when you was like a public figure? Like everybody knew you was doing the right thing. They knew you was down there doing the right thing.
Mhm.
Why did you leave?
Yeah, that's a great question,
Cause
and
you
it's
know
one.
we got families in Michigan that has
Right,
never even left Michigan,
right.
that
and
would not even think about leaving.
I never thought I was going to leave. I never did.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you look at a person who was the first. first African American to be elected as a city council member in a vote for one race. My district was only 13% African American, and I won by a landslide. I beat a white male, and that was unheard of. So I thought my career was ready to go. I mean, I and people know me. I studied the presidents. I thought for sure that I could possibly be president of the United States. I wanted to be a movie star first, but then I wanted to be president of the United States. I think it'd be done. I think there's a guy named Ronald Reagan. But anyway, but anyway, but anyway, I then I got elected. I left city council and ran for mayor, and possibly should have won that race. But I need to finish second in the primary, and I finished third. There was 10 people running. I finished third, so I couldn't make it to the runoff, the general election. But it kind of worked out because then I was a single parent with both my boys, so it gave me time to be full time with them. But 16, 17 years later, I ran for a school board and won and won
Okay,
with,
okay.
with no endorsements, none, no television, no unions, nothing. But I think you had to vote for three, and I think I was everybody's throwaway vote. You vote for two, the next thing, oh, there's Charles Ford, vote for him. I thought I'd finish about fourth or fifth out of 10 people, but next thing you know, I didn't even watch the election come in, and I was on the phone helping a young attorney work through a case. Then my dad was beeping in at like 9:30, and I said, "My dad doesn't call me at 9:30." So I had to click over. He said, "Are you watching the race?" I said, "Nah." I said, "I'm gonna go pick up my yard signs at about 12." He goes, "You're kicking everybody's butt." That's what he said. And by the time I turned the television on, there was a check by my name that I'd won, and that let me know that you can't sell yourself short either, because
Exactly.
sometimes we're our worst critics and things. But I was on the school boards, but I ran while I was on the school board. I was elected official. I ran for mayor. I ran for judge, and I was in the judges race. I was the biggest name, but I spent like $12,000. Right, the people that beat me spent like 70, $80,000. I couldn't raise money, and I was on the school board, and I found myself doing the same thing for the last 4 years. Last 4 years. I just,
Mm.
I wasn't moving forward. I wasn't growing. I wasn't progressing. Even though I love my city, Lansing, and love the things that I learned there and the schools I attended, Michigan State, Lansing Community College, all those schools in Michigan. But I just saw my career just not going anywhere. My finances are going down because, you gotta, when you're running for office, you're spending a lot of money. I had run for four offices that were they owed my campaigns owed me like $27,000,
Wow.
and so I had to close out my campaign account. So I left $27,000 on the table that I could have ran for office, raised money, and paid myself back. But I just closed them out. Anything that could fit in my car, no, I put in it. Anything else, I put in storage and drove to Atlanta.
Charles Atlanta.
Drove to Atlanta. And
Ugh.
luckily enough, I had a family that was from Michigan, let me stay in the lower level of their home. I started over. I mean, I was at zero. I was at zero when I got to Atlanta. And I applied and I thought I'd get a job right away with my background. I said, man, I'm going to get a job in a hurry. I was here in October. My job, I didn't get a job until mid January of the next year. And
I be.
it was interesting because I was applying like 30 or 40 jobs every day because it's online. Everything's online. I'm clicking buttons.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the Cobb County School District called me and asked me if I wanted to be an after school specialist at an elementary school, making $13.50 an hour. I jumped on that job. I jumped on it. I was
Wow.
an attorney with a master's degree and everything, but I need to get a job here, so I can get an apartment, move out. So my first job in Atlanta was $13.50 an hour,
As
taking
an attorney.
as an attorney. Yep. And that's why I wasn't proud. I just said I need a job, I need to get started, and I wasn't licensed to practice law down here, so I couldn't practice law.
Okay.
So I just went ahead and took the job. But then after the first semester, this lady comes down. I'm getting the snacks ready for the kids for after school. And she said, "You're Charles Ford?" I said, "Yes." It says, "I need you to work during the day." So all of a sudden, I got promoted right away to a paraprofessional. And I went from $13.50 an hour to $150 a day. I said, things are things are starting to look up, and I really love working for the Cobb County School District. I had worked at four schools. I was at I think it was one of the schools, no, Mableton Elementary. I was at Bryant Elementary for about a year and a half. I moved to Tapp Middle School. Then I went to Loving Good. So I made my way around, and then I got in a program that I won a scholarship to become a teacher, a full time teacher. And all of a sudden, I said, "Wow, I can go to Kennesaw State, and everything was paid for. Everything was paid for, and my job as a paraprofessional qualified as student teaching. So I'm going to be a teacher,
Wow.
just like I left high school. So I'm getting ready to be a
Yeah, I
teacher."
was just about to say, you said you wanted to be a teacher.
And I had very good math skills, English, all the social studies was my favorite, one of my favorite subjects. But then the pandemic hit, and they told me that I either had to come back to school. Now this is October of 2020. There was no vaccination. We didn't know anything about the pandemic. Everybody was dying. I said I can't come back. So they said either you come back to school and work, or you have to resign. So I resigned. But in the
Mm,
but during that pandemic year, I applied to get my license here in Georgia, and
okay.
they finally approved me to be licensed in Georgia. Uh, it was September of 2020. So even though and I wanted to stay with the schools, but have my license, but that didn't happen, and so that's when I started putting in the work in different places. That's when the Fulton County Public Defender's Office picked me up.
Baby, that's when God stepped in. That's what happened.
I mean, it was
That's when God
I
stepped in.
mean, I said I said I'm at $0, but now I'm a six-figure attorney. and so Georgia's been great for me. Georgia has just been awesome, and um,
But there
the
is
doc-
there's something in the back of your mind, the back, way, way back in the back, that be like, dang, I could have did this in Lansing.
all the time, all the
But
time.
why Lansing didn't believe in me like Georgia believing in me?
Yeah, I felt that after when I ran for city council and then ran for mayor, if I would have been elected mayor or a higher level office back during that time, I possibly could have been a presidential candidate before Obama.
Mm.
Yes, yes,
Lansing,
yep. It's,
how dare y'all?
yeah. I mean, when you live in a district, you get 10,000 votes and 13% are only African American. Then you've crossed over. You've convinced everyone that you can represent them and serve them. And so I had some big ideas. I mean, the governor called me in and said, "Hey, we're thinking about running you for Congress. You got the education, the look, everything." He just went on and on and on. And he was a second term governor, and he's a second term, so he's getting run for his third term. But then I told him, I said, "You got to beat the next candidate." He says, that candidate can't beat me." I woke up that morning and he lost.
What?
And so I'm starting over again. I was like, there it was. It was right in front of me. It was right in front of me. And so now um, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. And that's when I ended up, I think I ran for the school board after that. But I always had a good, I retired from the government at age 48, and that really helped me. That really
Okay.
helped. I worked for the Michigan Department of Transportation from 17 years old till 48, and being retired, being a pension, being on full benefits, even though that wasn't enough to let you do anything, but probably buy some grocery every now and then, but not take not take a vacation or anything of that nature. So that's why I had to leave Lansing. I had to leave. Something had to change, And I'm gonna tell you, there's one guy that really changed my life down here in Georgia, and that was Carmichael, the music lover.
I was just about to bring it up.
You just find
I was just about to say, come on, let's go ahead and get this video because you done made history. He is an attorney in a music video coming from Lansing. Like Lansing,
music
this
lover.
is not
Selected.
Charles.
I was doing.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
This
Yeah,
is
I
not
was.
Mr. Charles saying this, but this is Miss Peachy saying this, okay? And I mean this with so much respect. To hell with y'all. To hell with y'all. Like, y'all had the opportunity. Y'all had the opportunity right in the palm of y'all hand. But y'all slept on them. Y'all slept on them. And now Georgia has him, and we are going to treat him very, very well.
I appreciate
Very
that. I've met so many nice, good people, people who really want me to succeed,
well.
and
Yeah.
I mean, they want me to do better. And the book that I wrote, I had started it in Lansing. I developed the chapters for this book 22, 23 years ago, and they never changed. But I got discouraged. I needed one more, I thought, major thing to happen in my life. And it wasn't happening in Lansing. It just wasn't there. And by moving to Georgia, I didn't think it was going to happen here, but then I just kept working, and all of a sudden I get selected by Atlanta District Public Defender's Office. I get licensed as an attorney in Georgia. So now it's Michigan and Georgia. I'm licensed in both states.
Yes.
And the significance of that is, now I talk about this in my book, so I'm not ashamed of it or anything. But I passed the Michigan State Bar on the third try. On the
Okay.
third try. Now, it's not because I wasn't smart, is that you have to have
Exactly.
time. You have to have time to study for the bar. You have to have time. And then if you're smart, the bar tries to mess with people who are smart. There's 8 questions on the bar. Two questions, two of the answers are right. There's a couple questions on there that all the answers are right. And there's a few questions on there that maybe one question or no questions are right. So if you're a person who's used to getting good grades and you're smart, you will spend a lot of time on those questions. On those questions. And they're throwaway questions. They may even give you 8 points back. And that's what I did on the multi-state. There's 100 questions in the morning, 100 questions in the afternoon. And I was barely finishing because I'm trying to get all the questions right. But the third time, I learned the trick was you just pick an answer and just go. Just pick it. Because if you get 150 right out of 200, they won't even grade your essay, which you spend a
Wow.
whole day on. And I ended up passing the bar, and I passed the bar that was considered the toughest bar in the last almost 20 years. That's
Wow.
like that's like 40 bars. And if your letter was dated May 7th, only 30% of the people passed that bar on the first grading. Then they went back and grabbed some people who had pretty good scores on the multi-state and graded their
Mhm.
essays, and they passed. Oh, less than 50% of the people passed that bar.
Wow.
I was in the 30%. That,
Hey, one of us. One of us.
yeah. So, so that's why being an attorney means so much, because you go to law school for 3 years and you think, man, I might not be an attorney. And I gave up 3 years of my life to go to, and then when I passed, and then I passed the state bar and got elected the same year. So 1989 was a landmark year for Charles Ford. I
Mm.
passed the state bar and I won my city council seat all in the same year. So
Wow.
that's that's why I tell people don't give up, because there's just better things ahead. I mean, there's if you don't give up and if you figure out a way, there's a way.
There's a way.
There's a, there's a way.
Where there's a will, there's a
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Now,
Now,
Mr. Ford, y'all, I told y'all I was gonna be calling him everything. Mr. Ford, Attorney Charles Ford, Mr. Charles, or just Charles, whichever one I just feel like calling him, I'm calling him. But you done
And I'll
came
answer
on
too.
here, huh?
And I'll answer too.
Thank
I
you.
want.
Yes, he gonna answer. He gonna answer. Now, you done came here to the ATL, baby. Been here for 10 years, a whole decade. And now you done been in a music video. You done
Yes.
been, and the star on top of that. The star. Now, I done told Mr. Floyd, I said, Mr. Ford, Mr. Ford, let me tell you something. I said, I made your flyer. My daughter was right here. She ain't number 7 years old, about to turn 8 in the next few weeks. I said, she was sitting here watching me. She saw I made the flyer. And I was like, oh, you want to see? He got a video too. She's like, a video? I'm like, uh-huh. Girl, he got a video. She's like, okay, go ahead, let me see. So I let her see the video. She was like, Mama. I said, what, girl? She said, he handsome. I said, what? She said, but Mama, I like his beard. And one
Wow.
thing that she has definitely picked up from me is that every time my husband is a barber, so I never had to sit in the barber shop, none of that when it comes to my son. So he just drop him off. I drop him off, or my husband just take him up there and bring him back home. But every time I see my son, literally from the time that he has gotten his very first haircut, I have always said, "Oh my gosh, Trey, you so handsome." So I know that's where she got that from,
Right.
but I got to say, Mr. Ford, you eye candy over there. And in this video just as well. So y'all, let's go ahead and check out this video. Shout out to Carmichael, music lover. Baby, he doing his thing out here. Y'all better check him out. Check him out and check out this video. Shout out to Lydia. She was in it too.
Oh
Here we
yeah,
go.
Lydia, the co-star.
Yes.
Can I count the stars for you, baby? Can I count the stars for you, baby? Lay back, look at them in the sky. Point them out one by one. Wake up till the morning sun, yeah. Baby, I can't see a day without you. Baby, can I build my world around you? 'Cause with you, my life is so complete. There's no other place I'd rather be. I can see me and you against the world. Can I count the stars for you, baby? Lay back, look at them in the sky. Point them out one by one. Start all over when we're done. But we both know that it's gonna take a lot of time.
Wow.
Oh, now we couldn't play all of it, but baby, they got it. They got the gist of it. I tell you that much.
I tell you, that video almost didn't happen.
What?
It almost didn't happen. Yeah, Carmichael. They did a cast call on Facebook, and there was just hundreds of people that applied for the part. And
Mhm.
they said that he was going to call the people who got the parts that Sunday. So I put in about Tuesday. I put my picture in, and Sunday I get a call, and this Carmichael. He says, "Hey Charles," I say, "Hey Carmichael, how you doing?" He goes, "You got the male lead," and I was like, "Oh, what do I?" Now I'm going, "What do I do?" I was just excited, but and I'm not saying this to say that I'm about that. I mean, I was 63 years old when I got my first leading role. Okay, 63, and so they were gonna dump the project because they didn't find of the people who sent their pictures in someone who they felt that I would be excited about working all day and then going out with them that night. So they were gonna go another direction. And so I
Hey.
said, well, I think I know someone, and she's a stepper. Lydia Sewell is she's a great dancer as well,
Mhm.
and we had taken some pictures together, and so I said, can I send some pictures to you? I sent the pictures in, and before my finger got off a send good, they said we're shooting next week,
Wow.
and
Wow.
now and it was great. And she was so good to work with. She was so good to work with. She had some great ideas. We both did.
Mhm.
Um, and now it's 4 million views later. Over 4 million
Four,
views later.
4 million views later. Over 4 million views later. That is amazing. I am so super duper proud of you. Atlanta is just, and I'm just so happy for you. Now
But
we have started our Q&A segment,
okay.
and we done got a phone call already. Literally, we done
All
got
right.
a phone call already, and they called during the video was playing. So we're gonna go ahead and bring them in. And hello. Thank you for calling in the Peachy Time.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Miss Peachy, I love you so much. Thank you so much for you don't even understand what this means to me right now. But
Oh, is this
yeah,
Tiffany?
of course it is.
I know. I said this is Tiffany. Tiffany, thank you so much for calling in.
I'm really excited right now because with everything going on in my life, God is still amazing. He is wonderful.
Yes.
I'm very, very thankful just for life. I'm thankful for life. Um, I'm not going to talk y'all ears off, but I do have a quick question for you. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I am good. How about you?
I can't hear him.
He said he's good. How about you?
I'm doing well. So why I can't hear him?
Because I have my headphones on tonight. That's
Oh,
why.
okay.
Yeah, but I'm glad you said that. Because I'll go ahead and I will repeat what you say.
Okay, that works for me.
Okay.
But
I'm sorry, repeat
let
what he say, because he can hear you very well.
okay, this is my question. Um, I'm gonna just kind of do a speedy version of my story.
Hmm.
I'm a mother in the city of Saginaw who has buried two children to senseless gun violence. And it has been 13 years for my son. It will be June 7th. And he was 12 years old. Somebody did a drive-by shooting in the middle of the night, and it pierced off. They fired, um, I think it was like 19 rounds in my parents' house that night. And my son got shot in the right side and it pierced through hole. He was 12 years old. And also, my daughter, she was 26 years old. She was at a party July 31st, 2021. And she was also struck by gunfire and she was killed. And my question is, how do I, because right now, it's been 4 years for her. This will be 4 years coming up. My question to you is, um, how do I, what do I do to get the city to open up my children's case again? Both of their cases are closed cases. And right now, I want them to be their focus. I want them to be their focus. It's been 13 years for my son. Um, Somebody has to come forward. It has to be somebody that knows something. And the same with my daughter. It was over 300 to 400 people outside when she got killed. Like, there's no way, as small as my city is, that justice is not served for my children. And I'm a mother and an advocate for women who children have been murdered to gun violence out here in this city right now. And I'm also a writer, upcoming writer. But my concern is what can I do to get my children's cases reopened? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's and there's been cases that have been reopened even after 25 years. But here's the key to getting your case for your children reopened. You have to come up with some new evidence, evidence that um, has not been there before, or evidence that can be looked at differently. That's why the DNA tests that people are doing that are so important now, because there's cases been open because the DNA tests have found out that this person might have been, the person that committed the crime, because now they got better evidence. But it sounds like you're in a situation, because you are an advocate. You've got to find someone, an investigator, someone with that type of ability, to see if they could come up with some new evidence on the case, or be able to look at the evidence that you do have a little differently. Okay. And there are people out there, advocates that will reopen cases for you. And so at that point, it's all about the evidence. It's all about, why are we going to reopen that case? We had all the cases, we had all the information, evidence we had. We couldn't do anything with it. We couldn't move forward. But you've got to give them a reason to move forward. And so that evidence, or a new way of looking at the evidence that they already have, has to be done. Okay, or that case will probably still be closed. But and like I said, I'm speaking from the position of a defense attorney and a prosecutor, and it comes out the same way. There's got to be more evidence, different evidence, or being able to look at the evidence a little differently. And I would say, just to stay at it, stay at it. See if you can, get the list of names of the people who were there close. Find out who was there, who's not said anything. Um, it can be done. It can be done, but it's going to take some work. It may even cost some money. GoFundMe pages are good. Asking for people to donate to try, and somebody might even donate their services. There might be a group out there that will donate services to try to go through the evidence to find out maybe it was viewed wrong, or you might be able to find some different evidence. Somebody might come forward and say, "Hey, I was there. This is how it really happened," and that way you can go to the prosecutor's office with some different evidence, or another way of looking at the evidence, and then maybe try to get the case open again.
So the biggest thing is evidence, from what I hear from you. Like,
Yes,
they have already collected the evidence that they have collected, whether it was the 13 years ago for her son, 4 years ago for her daughter.
that's
And the
correct.
evidence wasn't working. So now they need new evidence.
Mhm. And
And the
technology, but technology is helping too. There's better ways to look at things. There may be a video out there. There may be something out there now that we could, you can sift through. But it's a task. It's a task, and I think you're up for that task. And you just got to find out if there's someone out there able to help you.
Exactly. Exactly. Tiffany, is there anything else you want to ask him, or did that sum a lot of things up for you?
It did, because that's kind of what I got from the detectives.
Okay.
So they had already shared the information with me. I wanted to know kind of what his thoughts were on that situation. I do want to talk to him about some things, but
Off
I don't wish
air.
to share them publicly. But I would like to talk with him about some different things,
Okay.
if he doesn't mind.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind.
Okay, he doesn't mind, Tiffany.
And
So
then
I'll give you her information, and I give her your information.
that'll be good.
I know Tiffany very, very well. Tiffany is the reason why I have families that come on to Peachy Tea Time now. Her story was the very first story that I brought to Peachy Tea Time. So I'll definitely be able to give you her information. Tiffany, I can give you his information. And I thank you. I thank you so much for calling tonight. And y'all, we do have the phone lines open. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you, love.
You're welcome.
I
Love
love
you.
you. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye bye.
Good luck to you.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody else? We have the phone lines open. They are going to be open for the rest of the night. So please make sure y'all call in. But let's get into some of these clips. Mr. Ford, every time I have any guest on my show, I don't care who it is, what they coming on here for, I have to show a news broadcaster clip. It's a
Okay.
must.
All
So
right.
I want to go ahead and get into the Tanisha Chappelle, and it looks like that's the only one we're gonna have enough time for tonight. Because I know you are so busy. I know you are, and so I don't want to have you on here too long. But I know you're enjoying yourself. I
Yes,
can
I'm
just
having a good time, and like I said, I'll stay on as long as you want.
yeah. So we might be able to get that other one in there. But Mr. Forja, he knows all the clips that's coming on tonight, which is just two stories. Two stories, but it is multiple clips. One of the stories, like I told you guys, was Tanisha Chappelle. This story still to this day just pound, 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 pound on me. Because there's only so much I can do. When I came into PGT Time, I just wanted to do the show and just bring the families on here after Tiffany came on. And before you know it, God put me on a whole nother path. And I'm enjoying this path. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying it. It's unfortunate as far as the circumstances, but I love what I'm doing because I'm helping families. But this particular story was the first high profile story that I did, and there was nothing I could do besides just keep bringing the story, keep putting it out there, keeping her name alive, share amongst other people. That's all I could do. And I just wish it was something else, something more. And I know God gonna take care of it all. I know He is. So let's go ahead, y'all. Tanisha Chappelle. If y'all been watching PGT Time since day one, y'all know about this story. Here we go.
We revisit the death of Tanisha Chappelle, a Louisville woman who begged for help for hours before dying in the custody of the Jackson County Jail. She'd been locked up about 2 months, arrested in May of 2021 for shoplifting in a miles-long police chase that started at the Outlet Mall in Columbus, Indiana, and ended in a crash on I-65 in Clark County. For the first time now, we hear from jail employees there as she was dying. You can hear the desperation in the voice of Tanisha Chappelle. She'd been making calls like this for 13 hours, locked up in the Jackson County Jail. And 8 hours after this one, she was dead.
There is no peace. There's no making comfort with this.
This 23-year-old mother from Louisville,
Hours of her begging and pleading,
died a slow, painful death.
I knowingly did nothing and allowed someone to die.
Crying out to people who we now know
I don't think she was sick.
didn't believe her.
You don't know if they were faking it.
Or refused to listen until it was too late.
What goes through your head and your heart when you see how your daughter was treated?
That they were evil.
Chappelle's death in July of 2021 brought protests and national headlines. 3 years later,
I'm confused on what really happened to her. I have my theories, but
It's like living under the weight of no resolution.
yes.
WDRB reviewed more than 20 hours of depositions from jail staff under oath. And the 800-page Indiana State Police investigation previously withheld. This is Chappelle's story, like it's never been told.
All right. So, Mr. Charles, This right here is a story that I don't think I would ever forget. This is a story that I wish I could have done more. It was so much more to what I sent you. So much more.
Wow.
Yes. This was the first story that I was invested in. I'll say that. That I was truly, truly invested in. It was like, okay, I got to figure out something. I got to try to do something. I've never heard of such thing ever happening before. You know, I come from a 2-parent household. My parents always been there for me and my brother. My brother went left, I went right. I get all that, but to hear people be so evil, no, I've never heard of such thing. And that's to me, that's what this story was. Evil, pure evil. Now, her mom could be watching, her sister could be watching. Like I said, they came on Peachy Tyme for the very first time as a platform for them. And the story just literally took off. It took off. But this young lady, she had went to an outlet mall, and this is just off the top of my head. I didn't restudy this again for the show, but she went to an outlet mall with her friends. They had got caught. She gets up, she just take off running because they had them, like, we caught you. We finna tell you, read y'all rights or whatever. She just took off running. Get to her car. Her car doors was locked. So she busted the windows to get in the car. She gets in the car. Her keys was in the car. She gets in the car, starts the car up, takes off. And the police chases her. They ended up doing not the pit maneuver, but they put them things in the middle of the street for
Strips.
Yes. And she hit that, got into a car accident. And they took her to a hospital. Everything is allegedly, but per her mother, they took her to a hospital 4 counties away. So they passed several hospitals to take her to. But they took her to this hospital that was further away. Once they let her out the hospital, she goes to the jail, and it's majority white people that don't like black folks, brown people, whatever you want to call us. They don't too much care for us. And she's there. And she gets into it right before, and when I say right before, I'm talking like days before it's time for her to go to trial. She was in there for like 4 months. And right before it's time for her to go to trial, like during the weekend, she gets into it with one of the young ladies over a remote control of watching TV. Something occurred in between then and there with cleaning supplies. And Tanisha ended up being the way she is that y'all are about to see tonight. And nobody helped her until it was too late. And as a black, brown girl, why they don't care about us? Why? Yes, we know they don't care about men too, black men, but why they don't care about us? And we don't do nothing wrong. We just try to live. Yeah, she was stealing. A lot of society was like, well, she shouldn't have been stealing. That don't cause for her to lose her life. And that goes back to what you're talking about, Mr. Charles, as an attorney, as a public defender, when you got to defend people that just ain't right, and they may not be right. But at the end of the day, you know the law. You know the law. And one thing I know is a person don't deserve to die just because she got caught stealing. She don't deserve to die. So we're going to get into the second clip. When we come back from this second clip, we're going to get Mr. Charles' opinion. Here we go.
She kept saying she was vomiting blood, and the nurse said we need evidence of the blood.
The depositions we obtained reveal several missteps.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to do unless you're talking up something crazy. Hang on.
Between 8 at night and 3 in the morning, July 15th into the 16th, Chappelle asked to go to the hospital at least 6 times. Guards kept coming to her cell.
I said, if you see blood in there, let me know right away.
But when one of them did see blood around 2:30 a.m.,
You went and told that to Scott, right? Yes, sir.
the sergeant claimed he was never told.
Were you advised that Denise Chappelle was throwing up blood? No, I was not.
Jail policy requires staff to call a doctor when an inmate vomits blood. They didn't.
Had it been your call, you would have had her taken to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Instead,
I spoke to the sergeant. He said that the nurse will see you in the morning.
jail nurse Ed Rattan checked on Chappelle a little before 9 a.m. on July 16th, the day she died. Records show he took vitals and offered her Tylenol, saying she'd have a full medical visit in the afternoon.
She told me that morning that she had sickle cell and ulcers.
30 minutes later, she's back on the talk box.
I wasn't sure what exactly to do about it since I hadn't received any training yet.
Another misstep. Guard Raya Smith admits
Alrighty.
she never told the nurse or supervisors about that call.
So why did you ignore her there?
I'm not 100% sure why.
None of them. I feel like none of them did what they were supposed to do.
Late morning, Chappelle collapsed in a day room wearing only underwear covered in feces.
Do you guys see we got a naked lady on the floor in here?
Inmates tried to sound alarms. Officers put her back in her cell.
I need help. I need help.
As her cries grow weaker, soon she's incoherent. Jail staff eventually moved Chappelle to a room for monitoring, naked, wobbling, fading. She falls and hits her head on a bunk.
What's wrong with you? I feel better. You feel what? I feel better than I've never. I just want to feel better.
This is when they finally acknowledge she needs medical care.
Okay, Mr. Charles, I'm just gonna say it just like it is, the way I'm seeing it, the way my spirit telling me to ask you right now. Is this considered, in your eyes, put everything else aside, in your eyes, is this considered murder? Or is this considered a true accident? That they just did not know that this was about to happen to this girl. They thought she was faking. Was this truly accurate that they could have really been thinking that she was just faking and she was just trying to get out? Or was this considered murder?
Okay. Well, first of all, I have to qualify my answer. This is my opinion only.
Yes.
It's not the opinion or statement from the Cobb County Solicitor General's office where I do work. And this is just my own statement on it. And first of all, anytime there's a dead body, murder comes into play. Okay. And we have to go ahead and we have to analyze all the things that make up murder. First degree murder, second degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter, felony murder. Okay. Those are the categories you have to fit into with your evidence for murder. Now, first degree murder, was it intentional? Was it premeditated? Some people may say yes, because maybe something happened that day and someone just felt bad enough that I'm not gonna care for. Okay, so that might be intentional, premeditated. Second degree murder is creation of a high risk situation. And that is you possibly didn't know that this. You possibly didn't know that this could kill somebody. That's a high risk. But you should have known that if a person screams 8 or 9 times, that you should give them some help. So you created a high risk situation. Now, this is where it gets a little muddy because it's involuntary manslaughter, which carries a lesser sentence. Because first degree and second degree murder could be life sentences. So if you get the involuntary manslaughter, that's called gross negligence.
Okay.
And so I'm glad they're doing this big investigation because they got to now try to fit what happened in some of these categories. Then you got voluntary manslaughter. That is coming to the defense of another, coming to your own defense, or heat of passion. heat of passion. I explain it this way: you walk home, your spouse is in bed with another person in your house, and you at that time you shoot and kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who've got off on that because it's a temporary moment of insanity. So that's voluntary. Now, felony murder is you're committing a felony. You're robbing the bank, you kill somebody. That's a felony, and then you get felony murder. So now we got to try to fit what happened to, is it Chappelle, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Chappelle.
Yeah. Into one of those categories. Did someone like the person that said, "Well, I gave the information to my supervisor. And the supervisor didn't act on it."
Mm-hmm.
Well, then he asked him, "Well, would you have done something differently? Would you?" He said, "Yes." So now I'll just take those two situations. I think that the person who reported to the supervisor could be in the category of involuntary manslaughter, gross negligence, because he probably should have went beyond the supervisor and got someone to come in there and take a look at this person. The supervisor could be put into second degree murder because he should have known better that if a person's been screaming, and he had the authority to go in there and do something, but he didn't. So he created a high risk situation. So the people who are looking at the evidence has to try to put who, because there could be a number of people charged. 'Cause I think right now that I think the nurse person lost her job
Yep, she
already.
lost her job. Yep, yep.
To me, what that means is the prison is not trying to take liability for what he did. We fired him
Mm-hmm.
already because he worked, because he went outside of what he should have been doing. He should have been doing his job. Okay,
Exactly.
so that's why we have to have. There's going to be a lengthy investigation. I've been involved in cases such as this where we have to wade through the evidence, and it may be a year from now. I had
Yes.
I had a case where a person got stomped, and it was a big crowd of people, and they did grand jury investigation. They interviewed as many people as they could, and until they came up with, they ended up charging someone a year later. That could be the case here. That could be the case where after they get through with all the evidence, because there's no statute of limitations on murder. So at that point, they're going to do the best job, and some of those folks in the prison could be liable for her death. And
Well,
so
I
that's why.
think
And so you asked me a very specific question, and you can't answer it because I don't have all the facts.
exactly.
I would love to read the investigation on this to see, definitely as a prosecutor. As
Mm-hmm.
a prosecutor, I would like to see who is there someone there I'm going to prosecute, you know, for
Exactly.
this. But I have to look at all those categories that I've told you about to see if any of those elements exist in any one of those individuals. And then I could charge then that person can possibly be charged at that point. Not possibly, be charged at that time. And then they got to go through the process of getting an attorney and defending themselves. But then but I think the family's already filed a civil suit.
Yes.
If they haven't, they should. But then the
No,
prison
they
is
did file it. They did file
yeah,
it.
yeah. And then the prison, that's
Allegedly.
why,
Everything is allegedly.
yeah. So the prison, that's why they're starting to fire people and do things, because the prison is trying to say, hey, we gave them a job to do and they didn't do their job. That shouldn't be part of our responsibility, So there's going to be some more people who are probably going to lose their job over this, but there's also going to be some people who are probably going to be charged
Well, there we go. No
criminally.
one has been charged yet.
Yeah.
This happened in 2021, and we all know it takes time. But no one has been charged yet. I don't understand why no one has been charged yet. But I'm not educated in this. I haven't went to school for this. I don't know all the laws. I feel like the laws is crooked, but I don't know all the laws.
Yeah. Well,
But
see, the prosecution has to see if it's a case that they have enough evidence, and it seemed like they got some scientific proof. They got video footage,
I was just about
they
to
got
say,
audio, they got audio footage. So at this point, hopefully that this family will get vindication by someone being charged, and and maybe a jury saying that they're guilty of something. And
When
so,
they came, when they came on my show, because like I said, they came like almost right after it happened. But
mhm,
they came on my show. They was trying to get the video footage. They would not give them the video footage. After they left my show, that's when they got the video footage.
mhm.
But when they gave them the video footage, they closed the case. So they
Well,
closed the case first, then gave them the video,
yeah,
and then they ended up doing the civil.
yeah. Well, like I said, it appears if they close the case, someone has not said that there's criminal liability here, but you never know. It could come back because
I feel like everybody and that was in there should have been locked up just by looking at the video. They
mhm,
have had some of the inmates write letters saying that they were sorry, saying they was part of it. Not as part of, oh, I did it, but we knew about it type.
knew about it. Yeah,
And nothing has happened at
yeah.
all.
Well, like you said, they got the evidence after they left your show. This, you keep talking about it. I think there's going to be someone who might, just say, "Hey, this needs to be looked into a little further."
Exactly.
And I'm not licensed in Kentucky, and they could have different ways they look at what murder is about, but that's the basic standard what I presented to you, and you can in your own mind say, well, is somebody grossly negligent in this? You probably say, yeah. If someone created a high risk situation by moving them to a cell, then they hit their head, that's creation of a high risk situation right there. I mean,
Exactly.
so to me, that starts to fall into that, second degree, especially, and then someone says that, well, I wasn't trained well enough. You know,
Mm-mm.
those are some of the things that's going to definitely play well in the civil suit. And so
Exactly.
at this point, hopefully, one way or another, this family is going to get some vindication from this case, because I look at that in just disbelief.
Just believe. And we
But
got one more clip that I want to play, if you don't mind. Just one more clip on it.
go
And
ahead.
it's the last clip on it. This ends it on up. Like I said, y'all, I have played so many videos on this story. I have followed this story, but to me, this right here was one of the best. One of the best. Now, there's another one out there that I covered on my show where they actually had the letters, from the um, inmates that was there. So, but this right here, it sums a lot of it up to me. So here we go.
But she lays there 40 more minutes.
I didn't realize that she was unable to dress herself.
The nurse won't go in the cell.
Possibility of accusation, not going to enter her. If she doesn't have any clothes on, I'm not going to go into the cell by myself.
You haven't made it off!
He sends 2 female guards in.
Come on, you gotta get dressed. I can't get you any help until you're dressed.
They won't help her get dressed either.
It's making us think that you're faking it. So if you're not gonna get up and get dressed, we're gonna leave you alone. And you can sit there and just stuff.
When EMS finally arrives, Chappelle props herself up on a wall, staggers to the gurney, and falls. She was dead at Schneck Medical Center 2 hours later, 5:42 p.m., July 16th, 20 hours after she first called for help. We found in investigative records competing theories on what killed Tanisha Chappelle. Medical examiner ruled it probable toxicity with a manner undetermined. Rumors in lockup, she was poisoned. The medical examiner found a green liquid in her stomach. Lab tests couldn't confirm it.
They treated her like she wasn't a human.
The other theory came from the ER doctor who treated Chappelle, that she died of a prolonged sickle cell crisis.
It would have been different if I'd known her medical history.
Jail staff say they didn't know about her pre-existing conditions. They didn't do the required medical questionnaires when she was originally booked. A third theory emerged in court records from the medical experts hired by Chappelle's family and the county, agreeing she died from sepsis due to an infection. While doctors disagree about what caused Tanisha Chappelle's death, Family?
It's the fact that nobody helped her for hours.
They're suing, claiming the jail denied Chappelle her constitutional rights to medical care. The jail's medical expert said no physician could be certain earlier care would have prevented Chappelle's death. But this year, the county's attempts to get the case completely dismissed failed, clearing the way for trial.
Very, very, very.
But paying for Chappelle's death is not just about dollars and cents. They want criminal charges.
No answers with no justice. Like, it's the worst feeling ever.
For the feds to step in to give Tanisha Chappelle the help she didn't get behind bars.
There are serious problems at that jail, and if things don't change, more lives will be lost.
And more lives were lost. 2 other inmates died in Jackson County Jail custody since Tanisha Chappelle. One happened 3 weeks later. You can read that part of the investigation now online. The attorney for jail staff did not return our request for comment. Follow the story in our next hour. We reveal what has happened to them since Chappelle's death, the one guard found liable in the case, and why the jail nurse lost his license.
All right.
It appears it's still going on. So there can be some vindication, not only on the civil suit, but there might be some criminal charges coming.
Exactly. And I hope so, because at the end of the day, uh, this is a very, very, very sad situation. And very unfortunate because she was only in there, Mr. Charles, for 4 months. And she
But
was
that,
literally about to go to court.
yeah. But see, that's what I talk about when I talk about bonds. You know,
Hmm.
she was in there for 4 months for shoplifting and probably fleeing and looting, which I would think that her bond would be at best 10,000, maybe
It
15.
was it was between, and I hope don't quote me, but it was between, but I know it's in this area, in this realm, between $3,000 and $4,000.
Yeah,
And
and
they
see,
was on social media, Facebook and stuff, asking their families to help them come up with the money.
Mhm.
Like you said in the beginning, as a
Yes,
public defender, sometimes we ain't even got $100 to give you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you're talking about if her bond was $20,000, you got to come up with $2,000. That you'll never see again. And then I don't know how many families, even if you get 10 people together who can come up with $10,000 or $2,000 that they'll never get back when people are
Exactly.
living from paycheck to paycheck. So it's a sad situation. That's why when I was a public defender, one of the things that we did, we always made motions to reduce bond, so we could try to get people in a better position that they can get out. See, the best position to be in is to have $20,000 because that way you'll get it all back. See, if you
Mm,
can put up the bond yourself at 10,000 or 4,000, if you get the money back. But if you got to go through a bail bondsman, that's the interest you pay. That 10% or 12%. It's 12% in Georgia. I mean, it's not 10% anymore. It's 12%. And
mm,
then you got to be able to give up that money. You got to lose it. You're done with it. It's better to have the whole thing because you'll get it back.
mm.
And you can kind of, who has the money, who has $20,000 to bail somebody out?
Exactly. Nobody. Nobody. Oh, there she go. Hey, Lavita. This is the mother. This is
Oh,
the mother. Yes. And she was on the video. Y'all saw her on the video. Lavita. She said 2 months. I can't remember exactly what this was meaning, unfortunately, because I just saw it. She said, I want to call in, but I don't have the number. She wants to call in. So let me oh, Lavita, I hope you're still watching. I'm gonna put the number up right now. There goes the number, Lavita. Matter of fact, where is my phone? I have Lavita's number. She may have tried to call, ain't no telling. So let me see if I can call her right quick, unless she's gonna be calling from another phone. Here it is, right here. You
and
don't mind, do you?
And why are you pulling it up? And I see a comment from Ms. McLean that says that the prosecutors closed her case for criminal charges, and it almost goes back to the case that you mentioned that the person called in about. They're probably both in the same position. That you've got to, looking at the video, you've got to come up with evidence and maybe turn evidence into criminal liability. And it could possibly happen because, like I said, they've got a lot of evidence there.
Yes, 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 yes. A lot of evidence. I'm trying to. Hello, hello. Okay, I thought I had her on the line. So she'll call in before we end the show because I would love, 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 for her to say what she has to say, or any questions that she have, just as well. Now, when you are in our shoes, which is the shoes that we're not as educated in the law as you are, Mr. Ford. Um, but all we do is we just look at these videos and we be like, they need to go to jail and they need to go to jail right now.
Yeah, that's why I tried to explain um, the the way that prosecutors and people have to look at cases to fit them into categories, and you have to meet the elements too. And in a beyond a reasonable doubt situation, you got to meet all the elements. If you don't meet one of them, the person's not guilty. So that's the position the prosecutor is in, is that who fits into the elements that we can charge them with something. Okay. There's a lot of people saying I didn't have the training, so that person is trying to say that they didn't have the information or the knowledge to do it, so they didn't have any intent. And the thing that we look at, and it's a legal Latin term, is called mens rea. Mens rea is the mental state of someone when they're reviewing the situation, and intent has to be found.
Look, she just called in. I said, I think he think I'm talking to him because they can still see me.
Oh, man.
But
I was
they
saying I
can't
can't
hear
hear
me.
you. I can't hear you.
Exactly, y'all can't hear me. But I was talking to her, but she is on the phone right now. I'm gonna go ahead and bring her in so that she can ask her question, okay?
And she's done a good job of giving me information in the chat.
Yes, Lavita, he's definitely listening. Go ahead and say what you need to say, girl.
Well, first off, I'm gonna start saying by saying I have a lot of footage that no one else has. Okay,
Say that
and none
again,
of I
Lavita.
have
Say
a
that
lot.
again.
I have a lot of footage that no one else has,
Oh wow!
and a lot of things that they did to my daughter wasn't right. It wasn't right. Okay, it wasn't right from the high speed chase on up to her death.
Mm.
You know, I have the prosecutor that was on her theft case, allegedly theft case, which I don't know. She never stood her day in trial. She was already guilty to them before being proven innocent. But the prosecutor that was on that case is the prosecutor who closed out her the criminal case against Jackson County for the death. Secondly, her bond was 50,000 by the jail. The jail made, when I called and asked what is her bond, the sheriff answered the phone and said, I make her bond is $50,000. Well, when she went to court, the judge left her bond at $50,000. So that's the second court date. Third court date, $5,000. Fourth court date, $4,000. And finally got down to $4,000. And
Her bond?
get the
Her
money,
bond?
but we couldn't get
Yes,
it
the
up.
bond. Hold on, Lavita. Yes, the bond dropped down to 4,000.
So the bond was
And she was
okay.
in there for 2 months.
She said she was in there for 2 months.
Okay, so when the bond was dropped to
And she had been
4,000,
for help from 10:30 at night, which would have been the 15th. She died on the 16th. They didn't come and help her until like 3:30 the next day, p.m., 3:30 p.m.
Okay, hold on, Lavita. He has a question. Go
no,
ahead.
I was just saying, and that's the
Hello?
evidence. That's the new.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second,
That's
Mr.
the new evidence. If you have some more footage, you need to have that footage examined by a qualified investigator or even an attorney to see if there's some more evidence that could possibly open this case, because those are the kinds of things that are necessary to get cases reopened. And that is, if you got some footage, if you got something that shows that someone is definitely at fault, somebody has some criminal liability, that needs to be presented so they can see if they can reopen the case. I'm interested in the fact that they did reduce the bond. When did they reduce the bond to $4,000? Was it within the like the first month?
Right before she died. That was her
Oh,
last
okay.
court date. They
Okay, her
reduced it
last court date.
right before she died, her last court date.
Okay, all right.
It went
Well,
50,000 from the sheriffs. They made it 50, and then she went to court. The judge made it 50, and then they made it 5,000, and then 4,000 was right before she passed away. Shortly before she passed away.
yeah. And what happens, the reason the bond starts to reduce is that the longer a person stays in jail, that bond, and that's some of my argument when I was with the public defender. If a person's been in jail for 2, 3 weeks, that should go toward reducing their bond. And that's what was happening. The longer she stayed in, her bond was reduced was reduced. 50,000. You know, it just depends on what judge you have. Some judges might have made it 20,000, but this judge decided. These two judges decided to keep it at 50,000, which is a tough number for a family to try to bond somebody out with, because now you're talking $4,000 and $5,000, maybe $6,000 that you will never see again.
Okay, she got one more question. Okay, go
Sure.
ahead, Lavita.
Okay, if the judge had the jail when she very first got locked up, they made it fit. When I called and the sheriff said I make the bond is $50,000. When she finally went to court, the judge left her bond at $50,000. Okay, her next
Okay.
court date it was 5,000. Now I have been arrested before, and I know that when I got arrested, if I had a $30,000 bond, when I went back to court it was 3,000. When I went back it was 300. Why was hers 50, 55, then 4?
Well, every case is individual. They look at risk of flight. They look at your are you working. They look at a lot of different categories too. So her situation is going to probably be different than yours at that point. And so at that point they determined that her bond should stay at 50,000 based on the facts that they had. But the longer she stayed in there, that's when it started reducing to 5 and then to 4,000, uh, because there's a lot of prison overcrowding too. So they got to make way for new people coming in. So that's why it's kind of a sliding scale. But I'm not saying that the bond is correct. The way they did it was correct because I don't have all the facts. But you definitely have my heartfelt sympathy on this one, because there's a lot of footage that doesn't make sense because the person is yelling for help.
Like wow, wow, wow. That's why I'm doing the best I can do to fight for my daughter, because that's what she would want me to do. It's a fight for her, and I'm gonna keep fighting until I can't fight no more.
Oh yeah, and that's what parents do, and that's their obligation too. Because even though no matter how old your child is, you're always still parents. And if you got some more evidence and some more footage, I think you should get it in the hands of somebody who can actually go in and possibly ask for that case to be reopened.
All right, all right. Well, Lavita, thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it. I am gonna get you in contact with Mr. Charles just as well, so that y'all can go even further with this. But thank you so much for calling in.
You are more than welcome to give him my contact number.
Okay.
All right, I know you got both numbers, but it's the
Yes.
438 number.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
I'll make sure I give it to him. And I love you and thank you so
All right, love
much.
you too.
All right. Bye. All right, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, those are. I tell you, I'm excited to be on the show, only to give some insight as to
Yes.
how cases are looked at and how things go. I'm not saying things are right or wrong. That's not my position at this point. My position is to
Mm-hmm.
give people more information as to how things are looked at in certain cases. And
And educators. That's
yeah,
what it is. Just educators.
but if she's got more information, I think she should get with someone uh, that could possibly see where there's some things that are criminal and make that presentation to the prosecution.
All right, all right. Well, we definitely thank you for that. We definitely thank you for that. Do we got time for one more video, or you tired? You tired?
I'm not tired. I think it. I like for some people to call. I like to know what people are thinking out there. I mean, even about my
Yeah.
book, about anything about the law. I used to. I substituted once for a person who's a judge now, Attorney Clinton Kennedy. He was a good mentor too in Lansing. He's now a judge. And he used to have a show called "Justice Is Your Legal Right," and it was on the radio, and they would call in, and people I got a chance to substitute for him one time, and I tell you what, that was an awesome experience. So, if anybody has any questions about anything, especially about my book,
Yes,
something that might have
especially
happened,
Facebook.
see if I could give you some insight.
All right. Well, we're gonna give people some more time to call. We're gonna get into this quick commercial break, and instead of just starting, because there's no sense in starting a new topic. That story with Tanisha Chappelle was very, very powerful.
I
Very
think
powerful.
I think that would be good. I like to take if we got time, go after your commercial, take maybe one or two more calls. I would love to do
Okay.
that.
All right, y'all. We got time for a couple more calls, y'all. So come on and call in. I'm finna put the phone number back up again. There it goes. There goes the phone number. Please, please, please call in, y'all. Please call in. And let me see. We got a comment. Let me see what this comment says. Hello, how are y'all? Can someone reach out to me concerning this criminal case that I got going on in Jonesboro, Arkansas? Please give us a call. Kathleen Graham, please give us a call. We still got the phone lines open. Please give us a call, and we will be more than glad to, well, not we, because I can't do nothing, but just bring your question out here. But Mr. Ford will be more than glad to answer your question. So go ahead, give us a call. I'm gonna put the phone number back up there. There it goes right there. There's the phone number 470-620-9916. Again, 470-620-9916. All right, let's go ahead into this quick commercial break. And y'all call in. Call in right now. Here we go. Hey y'all, it's your girl The Missus with the kisses, baby. Mwah. Or you can just call me Miss Peachy. That's all good too. Look, welcome to Peachy Tea Time. And it's Monday where I'm solo dolo. Yes, solo dolo. Unless I have a special guest. But y'all make sure y'all tune in each and every Monday, okay? Each and every Monday, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And don't forget to watch the other shows too on Wednesday night, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and on Fridays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, y'all. I love y'all so much, but we got to head on back to this show, okay? Make sure y'all continue to watch this show. Bye. We out.
Can I count the stars for you, baby?
stars for you, baby. Lay back, look at them in the sky. Point them out one by one. Wake up till the morning sun. Yeah. Baby, I can't see a day without you. Baby, can I build my world around you? 'Cause with you, my life is so complete. There's no other place I'd rather be. I can see me and you against the world. Can I count the stars for you, baby? Lay back, look at them in the sky. Point them out one by one. Start all over when we're done. But we both know that it's gonna take a lot of time.
All right, we are back. We are back. Now, I did get a question because I did actually have people write in just as well. You know, if they did not want to call in, they could actually write in. So I did have someone write in, and one of their question was, what is the difference between a public defender and a private attorney? Really? That's what they put. They said, really? What's the difference? Oh, we can't hear you. You on mute. Can you hit the mute button? Okay,
Sorry
now
about
we
that.
can hear you. It's okay.
Someone called me. They called me that was watching the show, so I put it on mute. I apologize about that.
It's
Well,
okay.
there's no difference educationally, okay, as far as schoolwork and passing the bar. A private attorney, like myself, I may only have 5 or 6 cases, 7 cases that I'm working on. A public defender has 200 cases that they may be working on,
Mm.
and so it's about the time that a person can spend. Like, my clients could call me every day and I'm available and I can handle their case and talk to them about their case. Where a public defender is managing their cases. They're managing. They're not giving you less legal service, but they're managing other cases. They go to
Okay.
trial. They're able to go to trial like everyone else. They've got resources as far as the legal research and all those types of things. It's just that it's the time that a person has to actually spend with your case. I know when I was on the public defender, I could deal with the people who are on my current calendar. If you're coming up on my calendar, I'm dealing with you, okay? But when I was a private attorney, I could have somebody come up on the calendar, but if maybe you're 2 or 3 months down the road, you still could call me because I could talk to you about your case. But I don't think as a public defender, I didn't treat any of my clients any differently than I treated as a private attorney. I gave them everything I had, and I'll tell you, public defenders are great attorneys because they just like what they do, and they're good at what they do. When I first came out of law school, public defenders made 13,000 a year,
Wow.
but they were
Wow.
committed. They were committed to doing the best they could for their client because their clients didn't have money, they didn't have resources, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But now, uh, people used to be people would mortgage their homes. They would do stuff to help people get out of jail and pay for their attorneys. That's not happening anymore. So
Ain't
public
nobody
defenders,
giving up their house no more.
yeah, so public defenders are making, good money, but they're still possibly making minimum wage because of the hours that they're putting in. And so, there's no difference educationally. There's no difference. It's about the time. That's
It's
the
about
only thing. That's the only difference. But now I work for a private law firm, and I work from 8:30 in the morning till 10:30 at night.
Wow.
Because private practice is also uh, tough, because especially if you got a good law firm you're working for, people want that service. So to make a long story short, sometimes I think the only difference is maybe the time that they have, um, to take like calls all throughout your case.
Okay. Okay.
But
Well, we got a couple more. We got a couple more questions. One of them is, in your experience, Mr. Ford, what does justice really mean for families who've lost someone?
well, I don't think there's ever justice, because you win $1 million settlement because your family member passed away. It's not going to bring them back.
Exactly.
It's not going to bring them back.
Exactly.
Even if someone gets convicted and goes to jail for 20 years, that's still not going to bring your your loved one back. But what it does mean when you win the lawsuit or you get a person convicted, it just gives some, it settles the family's mind. They can bring somewhat of closure to what's happened. Someone paid a price for what happened to their loved one. And like I said, money and people doing time in prison will not bring that loved one back, but it will give the family an opportunity to bring some closure that something did happen. Somebody did pay for it. Somebody, it was recognized by folks, especially if you get a jury conviction. Other people recognize that that person was wrong in what they did. You know?
Okay.
So that's what it means. Justice is just that. It's just that. It's just that, can you get vindication for the wrong that has been done?
Okay. Now, the next question that we have is, um, she said, and I know it's a woman, because she said, I have been talking to my son over and over and over again about what to do during an arrest,
Yeah.
what to do when they get pulled over. What is the best thing that a mother or a father can tell their son, their black son, to do when they get pulled over?
I tell you what, I love this question. I
Me
wrote a paper.
too.
I wrote a paper on this and posted it on Facebook, and it got hundreds of likes, thousands of shares, and if you get my business card, it actually tells you what to do when you get stopped by the police on the back of my business card.
Okay.
And you have to it talks about your Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment rights. Fourth Amendment right talks about search and seizure. Fifth Amendment right talks about you don't have to say anything, and Sixth Amendment right that you have a right to an attorney. Okay, so those are all on the back of my card, and then and the last sentence says, just call your attorney. I've had people who have my card. I have received calls from the side of the road from police officers who have stopped because my person just gave them the card. Once the person says, I have an attorney, I want to talk to an attorney, a police officer can no longer talk to that person. And
No
I tell
matter what the situation is.
yeah, because they've asked for an attorney to be present. Okay, they've asked for an attorney to be present. So at that point, I used to tell them, I says, don't ask my client any more questions. Don't search their vehicle. Either charge them, give them a ticket, and let them go. Now, that sounds very easy, but if you're not an attorney, one of the things I tell people to do is to check your ego at the door. Please don't say, "Oh, I know, I didn't do nothing wrong. What did I do? Why are you questioning me?" I mean, I mean, it happens a lot, but it's just kind of innate.
You know
It
how
happens.
we are and how
Yeah,
we can get.
yeah. But if you can check your ego, even if that police officer is wrong, that's when you call us. Live through the stop.
I
Don't get
like that.
Do
Live
not
through the
live through
stop.
the stop, and then call an attorney and say, "Hey, they did me wrong. They did this." You can file complaints if you feel that you're something, your civil rights were violated. That's why they have the complaint mechanism that you could call, and the police officer, call the police department and have them look into or investigate the negativity of that particular stop. And so the key is to live through the stop. We'll deal with the ticket. Whatever ticket you get, whatever they charge you with, we can deal with that. We can deal with that. But don't put yourself in a position where they feel threatened, because for police officers, that's when they lose it. That's police officers, they lose lives on traffic stops. On traffic stops. So they're very cautious about traffic stops. And so at that point, you got a police officer who's trying to go home to their family after this traffic stop. So don't give them a reason to feel that they are threatened and they have to protect themselves. Okay? And so that's one of the things I talk about. Check it, and you do not have to answer any questions. No, police officers don't have to tell you the truth. Okay, it'll go better for you. It'll go better for you if you do this. It'll do. I mean, and I talk about that on my card. Like I said, I'm not a defense. I don't do defense work anymore. But I do. I can't talk about the fact that a person has Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment rights. They don't have to. You don't have to have someone search your car without a warrant. You don't have to say anything because the Fifth Amendment says you have a right to remain silent. And then the Sixth Amendment says you have right to an attorney. So that's what you teach your children.
Now, there's supposed to be an app out there.
What's that?
There's supposed to be an app out there that when you get pulled over, you just pull up this app and it's supposed to contact an attorney right away. Is that accurate?
Well, I tell you what, there's apps for everything, but I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about that app, and if it's out there. But the key is you don't have a lot of options. You don't have a lot of options because this person has a uniform, and a lot of people are saying, hey, if they said something to me, I'm going to do it. Get out my car, whatever. But if you show them a card and they read that card, they know that they can't search your car. They can't ask you any more questions. Either charge that person or let them go. That's all you can do.
And
After they get
your
yeah,
card covers for Michigan and Georgia.
yeah, because the fifth and sixth the fourth, fifth, and sixth amendment are constitutional. That covers the whole country. Okay, and so at that point, that's basic things. You have a right to remain silent. People got to remember that you have a right to remain silent. You don't have to.
It's so hard.
How about this? How about this? Do you know you were speeding? Well, maybe I was. I was trying to get home to my, to get some, You don't have to say any of that. Just, why'd you stop me? They say, but give them your driver's license, give them your insurance card, but don't give them information to charge you.
You're
Say
right.
nothing.
It's been
Don't give them
so many
information.
times
Yeah,
that
but
my brother was in the car with me. I'm driving. I'm the one that got pulled over. But he on the passenger side. And he just got to talk, 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 talk. Before you know it, he done talked himself right on into jail. And ain't
that's
nothing
right.
I can do.
Yeah, and so what you do is just remember, you can pick up any dictionary, has the Constitution in it. Read the fourth, read the fifth, read the Sixth Amendment. Just read those, and that will let you know that if a police officer comes, can I search your car? Well, a lot of people think because they got the uniform on, that they
We
have to
get
do it.
scared.
Yeah, but just read those kinds. You have a right to remain silent. You have a right to, be harmed from search and seizure without warrants or, in plain view. Let me tell you about plain view. Keep your car clean. Don't have anything in your car but you and your passenger, you and yourself, because that could be plain view to get you that so they can search your vehicle. For example, you got clothes that are not in the bag, but got tags on them.
Okay.
Why don't you have a bag? So that's plain view. It's a possible crime. And I say those things just for so people can know that those are the things that can get you in trouble. Talk to your son about, just that whole ego thing. If you get stopped, you've been stopped now. So they probably got you for a traffic violation or a potential one. Okay. So at that point, just give them your driver's license. Be kind. Here it is, sir. This and that. Sometimes the police officer said, well, he was pretty cooperative. No, it's not that big of a thing. They may just give you a warning. But if you go after them, man, why you stop me? I didn't do anything. I know my rights. The person can look at you a little differently. Not that say it's going to work every time, but be cooperative and like I said, you've been stopped. Either you might get a warning. It might be a headlight. It might be a tail light. It might be something as simple as that. And if you go get it fixed, you're not gonna get a ticket. I mean, they may warn you, hey, don't let me see you again on the street with that headlight. Go get it
Yep.
fixed.
Yep.
So we got to be mindful of that as well. I'm not saying just like any career, any profession, there's a level, there's a range. There are people who do their jobs really well, and there's some people who don't do it as well as they should, but they're still doing it. So you got to know that range. So if you get someone who's at the bottom of the range, you might be, it could be a little difficult. But if you get someone who's got that customer service attitude and those types of things, it could go better for you. But so knowing that, check those egos.
Check those egos. Y'all know I tell y'all that all the time. I just don't say check those egos. I say shut up. Don't say nothing. Just
Yep.
you live to see another day. That's what I
That's,
tell
that's
y'all.
right. Live through
Live
that
to see
stop.
another day.
And that way, and that's what attorneys are there for. If you feel you didn't do what they said as far as your ticket, go in and and represent yourself or something, or but be able to get yourself into the court system. Maybe you get your ticket, dismissed.
All right. Well, we have came to the end of the show. I have enjoyed you so much. I really have. And when I tell you I cannot wait, as long as you accept, I cannot wait to send you that second invite, baby.
Oh my
Because
God.
I have enjoyed you tonight. And I know you have helped some people in our community that need the help. And that even if they're not in our community, you still have
Mhm.
helped them tonight.
Well, that's important, and I've dedicated my book to both my parents, and I appreciate them so much. Teaching us to work hard. My father was never late, never tired for work. He got so many awards for that. My mother, sacrificed her bachelor's degree to raise her kids and all those kinds of things. And so, all we can do is give back, and be
Yeah.
appreciative of what we know and how we can share that with people.
Exactly. And it's so much more to you, Mr. Charles. It's so much more to where I would love to bring you back so that you can, express and show everybody and let everybody know in our community. Not saying you haven't tonight, but just, for the ones that just seen you tonight, they'll be like, dang, I wish I had my son watching. Or dang, I wish I had my godson watch, something like
Mhm.
that. I would love to bring you back. We promote it just like I did this time, but promote it. The families know who you are, they know what you're about now, and they just want their youth,
Now,
their
like
children
I
to
said,
watch.
if like I said, I have no problem coming back, and like I said, we'll talk about it, and like I said, I appreciate the invite. A lot of times, when you have something to say, nobody wants to listen to it. Nobody wants to hear it.
Mhm.
Nobody invites you to say it. So, if I can help somebody, I have no problem coming back.
Well, baby, you did that tonight because the numbers is looking good tonight. They was definitely watching, so I definitely appreciate it. And one thing about Peach Tea Time is that I always let my guests in the show, no matter who it is. I always let them in the show. So, but don't worry, I'm gonna ask a question. You just answer it, And that's how it go. And you put that church finger up to let me know that you're done. Now, if you don't put that church finger up, you're gonna be just like us. Just like now, you attorney. But you can end up on our level by not putting that church finger up because you're just gonna be sitting up there like, okay, why she ain't took me down? What's
Yeah.
going on? What the hell going on? That's how you're gonna be. Okay. So I need you to put that church finger up.
All right. Well,
Y'all,
there's.
thank
I,
y'all.
I enjoy. I just want to tell you, your professionalism, your entertainment quality is just great. And like I said,
Thank
I
you.
watched last. I watched last. I couldn't wait. I watched last Monday. I couldn't wait to be on your show. So
Thank
thank you
you
so
so
much.
much. You are so welcome. Thank you for coming on. Some people they have to have 100,000, 200,000 subscribers. Um, they have to have all these followers and everything in order for them to come on. But one thing that I know that this one person that came on my show and I manifested for him to come on my show. A lot of people didn't know about him, but he was an independent artist who I listened to his music all the time. And I felt like he was a celebrity. You know, like his music was so good. He's supposed to be mainstream. And I just kept listening to it, let's listen to it. And I kept reaching out. And when he came on, I asked him, why did you come on? Like, your music's so good, you could be on anybody platform. And the first thing he said was you was persistent. He said people don't understand that being persistent is the key, you know. And I definitely was persistent. But at the same time, when you're doing what you're supposed to do and people are watching, God will make sure that other people bring people to you just as well. So with that being said, shout out to Mr. Ellis. Shout out to Dr. DeQuisha. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even known who Attorney Charles Ford is. And that's crazy because we both from Michigan. So but I'm truly, truly honored to have you here. I receive everything that you said. Lord knows I do, and I thank you. I really do. But you ain't finna get out of this last question. You're not
Oh,
finna get out this last question.
okay.
So I'm gonna pull myself down. You will be the only person on the screen. Like I said, put that church finger up, and I'll know that you're done. But I want you to first let everyone know where they can find you at. If they need to reach out to you for anything, let them know where you are. Of course, if they decide, I didn't listen, or I ain't know, reach out to me, Miss Peachy. I would definitely get you in contact with Attorney Charles Ford.
Well,
Um,
I'm gonna make that question real easy. Just C Ford Law at attorneycharlesford.com. That's how you get a hold of me.
there you go. He done made that easy for y'all. He made it easy. So the last question, I've been listening to you from the beginning, all the way to the end of the show. I love what you put out there. I love what you let everyone know, especially myself just as well. But I got to bring it back again. I got to bring it back again. For those people that Charles Ford, we're going to take off attorney, that Charles Ford knows deep in his heart. I'm a public defender, whatever, even though you're a prosecutor now, but you was a public defender and you knew deep in your heart that these folks is lying. They is not telling the truth, but you still have to defend them. How do you do it
Yeah.
when
Well,
you know that they were wrong and they supposed to be incarcerated?
well, the
How
thing
do you
is,
do it?
that's
Hold on,
that's
hold
that's
on,
not my question.
hold on,
That's
hold on, 1 second. Hold on. So Mr. Childs is gonna go ahead and answer this question, y'all. Make sure y'all tune in on Wednesday. We do have a family that will be on Wednesday. Shout out to Ashley. She'll be here on Wednesday to tell her son's story. I promise y'all don't want to miss it. Her son was murdered by the police. Memphis, that is. And y'all know I done covered Memphis many a days on PGT time. So the police to kill her baby. Oh, baby, we coming and we coming strong. coming strong, we coming hard on Peachy Time. So make sure y'all tune in Wednesday, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time with myself, Jason, my co-host for Wednesdays, and then of course our counselor lady, Charlotte. Now, I'm finna go ahead and pull myself down. And Mr. Floyd Ford, look, I said Floyd. Mr. Ford is going to have the show. So here he goes.
Well, I'm not going to take long on this
Can you
question.
please stay on for like 2 seconds after I end the broadcast, okay?
I can do that.
And
I
don't
can.
forget that church finger.
Okay. All right. Podcast is over. Okay. It's not. Well, my last answer is really easy. Um, when you go to law school and you take that oath, you're going to represent people who might have told you they even did that something happened, but there's a attorney-client privilege, and I can't. If you tell me you did it, I can't repeat that to anybody. Okay. And so at this point, I just really stick to the fact that I'm going to represent a person no matter what they've done, no matter what their guilt is going into the case. I'm just going to do the best I can for them because the Sixth Amendment says they have a right to me. They have a right to me. So if I don't represent them, someone else is. Okay. So a lot of times you say, well, I'm not going to represent somebody who's killed someone. I'm not going to represent somebody who's destroyed things. But at the end of the day, someone's going to represent them. And if they're going to get punished, I want that punishment to be proper. So, that's me as an attorney. 36 years, I am going to represent. If I'm a public defender and that's my case, I'm going to represent them. And they're going to get the best that Charles Ford can offer. And I'm done. There's my finger.
There go my finger. There go my finger. Well, thank you again. Definitely appreciate you coming on tonight. Having you here has been truly a blessing. We have learned so much, so much from you tonight. And I'm more than sure, each person that has watched tonight, they have learned something just as well. And if there's anything that you want us to take away from tonight, what would it be?
Who, me?
Yep. If there's anything that all these people that has been out here watching you tonight on PGT Time, saying what you have to say, if you just want us to take one thing away from what you have said tonight, what would it be?
The best is yet to come.
I love it. I love it. I love it, baby. The best is yet to come.
Yeah.
See y'all. Bye. I love it.
PG time. PG time. PG time.